All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? It's hour one of Jon and Jim. Padres are off, so obviously it's a slow day. Scott Miller, nothing's happening.
Nothing's happening today.
Scott Miller, New York Times, great baseball writer, has spent a lot of time in San Diego. He will join us coming up at 4 p.m. Let's start where we left off, because we truly ended yesterday's show not by hearing from Manny Machado, but we saw from Marty Caswell that Manny Machado had spoken to the media and had said something that was directly in conflict with what Mike Shildt had said yesterday. Surprise.
Mm-hmm.
That's happened before. So let's just set the stage.
We're talking about press conferences?
We're talking about press conferences on an off day. We're going to hear from both pieces. If you missed Shildt yesterday, you're going to hear from Shildt. You're going to hear from Manny. And it's a lot like 2 weeks ago, Jim, when we heard from Shildt. He's like, I don't know why they're booing. And then you hear from the clubhouse, like, I understand why they're booing. We're not playing good baseball. So Mike Shildt has taken exception a lot this year after losses. I guess it's going to continue. That's just been the trend. We're 60 games in. It's the same old story with Mike Shildt. When the team wins, it's all good.
Oh, my God.
It's unbelievable. We're using everyone's nickname. When the team loses, it's not all good.
Oh, my God. I love this team.
I love this team.
Oh, Crone Zone. Give Crone Zone some love right now.
He's like me. He went all in.
Yeah.
But the issue is they're 500.
Are you still all in?
I'm all in.
Okay.
I believe this team finds a way to make the postseason. It'll be a roller coaster.
No, I take exception to that, John.
See, that's the thing. I know there'll be highs and lows. He just thinks it's all highs. I know there'll be highs and lows to get in. I've already seen it for 2 months, but I do think they'll navigate their way.
Hey, guy doesn't put his foot on the bag. It's okay. He's doing better. He's
10 out of 10 times.
Hey,
I would do that.
I would do it at 10 out of 10 times. Oh, he missed a bag in a crucial moment of the game that scored a run, and it was a very easy out. You know what? He is doing a lot of other things really well, guys.
We got swept by the Phillies, but it was a defensive clinic. I take exception to getting outplayed by the Rockies, even though we got outscored 19-7.
I mean, we just got swept by the Rockies, but we've won 4 straight series before that, guys.
You know, if you go 6-4 every 10 games, you win 96 games. Yeah, I do, Mike, but you're 30-29. All right, let's start with if you miss Shildt.
It's almost like he does those weird SAT questions. If you go 6-4 throughout 182 games.
Right. I also know that I won't even go where I was about to go. Okay, let's start with what Mike Shildt said yesterday, this contentious back and forth, and then we'll hear from Manny Machado, who contradicts Mike Shildt.
This season, when you guys have kind of hit some rough patches, you've kind of fought back with resiliency, and then there have been a few times where it looks like you're about to take off and haven't quite hit that gear yet. What do you make anything of that, or is that just?
See, I kind of take a little exception with that. I really do. I mean, like every time we lose a game, we can't say it's like there's a rough patch when we just won a series. I don't get that. I mean, and you win 7 out of 9 series. I get it. We lost. It wasn't a crisp game, but. I don't buy into that. I can't support that particular narrative.
Can I clarify then?
You can absolutely
I don't
clarify.
think this was a rough patch. I think you guys were playing pretty good baseball the last 3 games, and
right.
You haven't necessarily been able to kind of really hit that stride that's taken you guys off this season. I'm just wondering if that roller coaster, in your opinion, is just kind of the nature of the.
Again, I take exception with this roller coaster. I want to ride every roller coaster I can ever get on, winning 7 out of 9 series. You sign me up for that ride, I'm all on board. Because if you go 6-4 the whole season, you win 96 games. So I mean, I do understand the question. You talk about taking off, but gosh, man, I don't have a great answer for winning 7 out of 9 series not being good enough.
Real quick,
yeah.
Do you know if you invest $1,000?
In what?
Like when you're 18.
Okay.
And it doubles every 7 years.
Yeah.
Like then it's 2,000 when you're 25. It's 4,000 when you're 32. It's 8,000 when you're 39. It's 16,000 when you're 46. It's 32,000 when you're 53.
It's not a lot. Okay.
All of a sudden, no, but by the time you're like 65, it's like $100,000.
Yeah. So by the time when you're almost dead, you have like enough money.
But that's only if you invest the $1,000. So if you go 6-4 every 10 games, you win 96 games. But if you don't go 6-4 every 10 games, and you don't win 96.
But they haven't.
Games.
Yeah, right. They have not gone 6-4 in every 10 games. Actually,
5-5.
Yeah, the last 10 games have gone 5-5. I really don't think Shildt understood the question from AJ. I don't.
Even when he followed up.
Yeah, I don't. I think he's triggered by these like words that he views as negative.
Okay.
And the question wasn't about like particularly just losing yesterday's game. It's about how you've had good stretches of baseball, and then you follow up those good stretches with like a clunker. You know, like you had an average homestand, and it wasn't the greatest thing in the world. You have struggled to score runs in, I mean, a lot of recent games. Your offense is not doing great right now. Your stars are struggling. They'll admit it. They know it. But that the question, I think he just didn't understand it, because
no, dude, he clarified. He was asked. It's one thing if he didn't get it the first time. No, he got the question. He doesn't like when he is led down a path
like
that is deemed
critical.
negative. Yeah, even the question. But the thing is, the person asking the question doesn't have some obligation to be positive in tone.
No.
He can be positive in his replies. You can't take exception to a question. It's not your question. It's his. Yeah. Like, you can't take exception to someone else saying something about your ball club. If you listen to Jon and Jim, how many times would he take exception?
A lot.
How many times would he raise his hand the whole 3-hour show? But Mike, we don't work for you. We're entitled to our own opinion, just like he's entitled to his. The issue is when you're seeing it only through rose-colored glasses, how honest are you being with your fan base? You got to have some sense of realism. Jim, if they're 40-20, I'm all for the positivity and the cheerleading. If they're 40-20, unfortunately, they're not. They're 30-29. They're clinging to a playoff spot at this point. Anyway, let's hear from Manny, because it's interesting because Manny was set up to defend his manager based on this question. Like, he was specifically asked, and you'll hear it, hey, Mike Shildt took exception to the usage of the word roller coaster. What do you think? Take a listen to Manny Machado.
Manny Mike took exception with the word roller coaster and an up and down season. Would you characterize this as a roller coaster and an up and down season?
I mean, I think every year in baseball, it's a roller coaster. It's ups and downs. There's goods, there's bads, there's a lot in between. You know, so yeah. I mean, it's the beauty of this game. That's why I love it. You know, it's a ride, and you just gotta enjoy it every single moment. And you ride the highs and you ride the lows just as much as you ride the highs. So, you know, but you know, hopefully we, you know, the roller coaster hasn't been so bumpy. It's been riding pretty smoothly so far. It's been a little bit up, a little bit down, but it's been riding consistent. So, you know, let's keep doing it.
I take exception with this roller coaster.
Manny understands. He knows what is going on.
Man.
He's a realist.
Yep.
Like, a lot of times he does just kind of just pull the it's baseball card and doesn't really go there. But I mean, what Manny said there is 100% what's going on with this team this year.
He's way more honest. He always has been.
It's a roller coaster of a season so far. This team doesn't have, you know, I was thinking about this too, because, and we've talked about it, going into this year, and when they had their 5-game losing streak, and then Shildt blew up, and they had swept by the Rockies, and Shildt again blew up, and you know just they don't have any equity. This team, they don't. So that is why, Mike, you're getting these types of questions, and these aren't even that bad of questions. And by bad, I mean like critical. They're just kind of, we're all sitting here waiting. Is this team going to be more like last year's team? Or is it going to be more like the team in 2022 where they get over that hump a little bit and they can ride a little bit of a wave and make the postseason?
So I agree with what you're saying. Are you referring to no equity because they're a 500 team this year and they don't have the built-in, hey, you're 10 games over 500, you can live with losing a series to Miami even though they didn't? Or you're saying they don't have any equity because the expectations were so high in 2023 and they fell flat on their face and they're doing everything in their power to avoid that from happening again?
They don't have any equity because this core together hasn't won jack you know what. And they haven't shown that they can overcome things. They haven't shown that they can do it for a full season.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you want to lump in 2022, that's fine. Okay,
yeah, I
most
think
of that
should.
It's okay, cool. Most of that team isn't even here anymore.
Right, but if you say the core of that team, I agree. I mean, Toddy didn't play on that team.
2022, no.
Right. I mean, you basically have Darvish, Musgrove, Manny, Crony, Kimmy.
Yeah. And Suarez.
Proey?
No,
he was
probably.
here, he was here in
He was
2022.
here, yeah.
Swore he was a good
Yeah,
player on that
yeah.
team. Very good player.
So
It's a decent,
majority of your team,
definitely.
majority of your team is completely new.
It feels like it's been a long time since 2022 because you had 2023. We wouldn't say if 2023, Jim, they made the postseason and lost in the wild card round. Like, oh, that was kind of disappointing because we expected them to maybe go further after 2022, but they fell on their face in 2023. All I know is this. This is now the second time in 2 weeks you've had a dichotomy, this complete 180 between the manager and the clubhouse.
Yep.
The first example being when I was shocked when he didn't toe the company line of, hey, what do you think about the fans booing? The only thing you say there, I really took exception to this, speaking of taking exception.
And it wasn't really talked about much besides you.
I went crazy on this by John Schaefer crazy standards.
Yeah.
And I said, I can't believe you would levy any criticism towards your fan base when you get swept at home by the Colorado Rockies, drawing 40,000 people a day. The fans are always right. It's like when you go into Macy's. If you want to return the pants, you return the pants. I don't want to hear from the person on the floor, you can't return the pants. It's just how it works. Customer's always right. The fans are paying good money to be there. The fans are right, whether you like it or not. Okay, that was a couple of weeks ago. And then the clubhouse is at, hey, Michael King, are you okay with the fans booing? Absolutely, we need to play better. Oh, that's interesting because Mike Shildt said the opposite. 2 weeks later, I take exception to roller coaster. Manny Machado says, I'm 100% with roller coaster.
It's a roller coaster.
I mean, what are we doing?
I know. I'm with you, John.
I know you are.
Unless this team wins, John, I don't think Mike Shildt's going to be here for long anyway, because he's
when you say for long.
Well, he's on a 2-year deal. It's pretty much a win now or you're gone deal, in my opinion. You're not going to go lame duck next year with Mike Shildt if you don't make the postseason. And if he makes the postseason, you're getting a contract extension. So, one of the two is going to happen here. And I'd be shocked if he went into next year, if they don't make the postseason this year, as the manager of this team, without some type of assurance for longer than one season.
I agree.
And it wouldn't be warranted, by the way, if they don't make the postseason, by the way, either.
Right. And if there's a change in front office, he doesn't keep his job either.
Completely gone. So, Mike's a first-time manager with the Padres, not a first-time manager in baseball. He was with an organization that won pretty consistently.
Oh, yeah.
So I feel like in that scenario, if Mike Shildt had these types of disagreements with the media or questions or exceptions with questions, you can maybe understand it a little more because there's a track record there with that team. There's a track record there with that franchise and those players. And he could be like, hey, we just won 18 games in a row last year to end the season. We just made the postseason. We are 10 games over 500 right now. There's wiggle room there, and there's understanding if he takes exception for what's going on and what's being asked of him. He doesn't have that here. This team is not a bunch of winners, collectively as a group together yet. This team, they haven't done anything. They haven't accomplished anything. Nothing. They have no track record other than some players that were on the 2022 team. And if you want to say that's the track record of this team, fine. But you also go the other side of the coin here and be like, well, those players were also part of epic collapses with this franchise as well.
It's funny you say this. I was going to do the quick. This isn't necessarily fair. We do this with quarterbacks. We say, what's Aaron Rodgers' record? We don't do it with left tackles. We don't do it with running backs. But right. I could do it with Manny Machado, the $350 million man after a $300 million contract. Heavy's the head that wears the crown. His first year here, 22 under. Second year, 14 over. So that's still, let me do that. You know me with the math.
Do it.
That's 8 under. The next year, he's 4 under. That's 12 under. Then he plays 16 over. He's 4 over. Last year, 2 over. He's 6 over. This year, he's 1 over. He's 7 over in 6 years. The average record for Manny Machado at the end of a year through 6 years is 1 game over 500. In 6 years of Padre. That's the average record. 1 game over 500.
So that is why, Mike, you are getting these questions because this team over the last 5 years, has
up
not
and down.
It's been a literal roller coaster.
According to who?
According to me.
Okay.
You can't tell me that there's been no other franchise that has.
I take exception with this roller coaster.
Okay. There's not been one other franchise in baseball with the ups and downs
down
than the Padres have had in the last 5 seasons. Name me another
that would
team.
be interesting to. I'd have to look. You may be right. I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean,
you're saying 1 good year, 1 bad year, 1 good year, 1 bad year.
Maybe if you want to go
2
like
good, bad year.
The Mets or something. I mean, Mets
no,
are.
I don't think the Mets.
But you had
good.
2020, okay, and then 2021 disaster, 2022 great, 2023 disaster. This year, it's kind of just like as Manny said, it's not really a bumpy ride as of yet, but it's gotten bumpy a little bit, like a little bit of turbulence, but it's still not a smooth ride.
There's nothing smooth. You're right.
It's not a ride that I think I want to go on. Even though Mike Shildt says it's like the greatest ride since Star Wars Land.
Shilty's favorite roller coaster is just a straight line.
Just a straight line.
It's funny because I have a book that I read to Jones called The Pigeon Rides the Roller Coaster. It's like for 4 and 5-year-olds. And then he ends up riding the roller coaster and there's no hills. It just doesn't. And the pigeon's like, yeah.
I take exception with this roller coaster.
But here's a roller coaster for you organizationally. And this isn't Shildt. Manny Machado has played for 4 managers in 6 years, full-time managers in 6 years.
It's a roller coaster.
And had a bad year followed by a good year. To your point, for 6 consecutive years now, nobody knows what happens in 2024. Hence the roller coaster.
Yeah.
Does it go up or does it go down?
The definition of this Padres franchise the last 6 years is literally a roller coaster.
You know it's not a roller coaster? The LA Dodgers.
No.
You know it's not a roller coaster? The Atlanta Braves.
And when the Dodgers lose 5 games in a row,
it's still not a roller coaster.
It's still not a roller coaster because guess what? They have a decade worth of winning that they can go back on and be like, look, we got the core here that just won 100+ games the last 4 straight seasons. We feel like we're going to be fine.
And what's
Padres, they don't
they're
have that.
15 games over 500 with 5-game losing streaks. I mean, the Dodgers, that's what I'm saying about the Padres.
Right.
If the Padres are 36-22 and incurred a 5-game losing streak, I'm way more apt to deal with it and take the side of the team. But they're not 36-22. Now they're 30-29. I think some of what Mike says is fair.
Yes.
We don't know.
They're
it's
in a
not
fine
sky
spot.
falling.
They're in a fine spot. They're not underwater. They're not peaking. They are just kind of average, right? They play good games here. They play bad games there. Up and down, up and down. They have a good little stretch, then they have a bad stretch. They can't score runs, then they score runs. Like it is the literal definition of what the baseball season is, which is ups and downs. And they're just kind of in the middle. And as of right now, being just average in the middle is fine because you are 100% in the mix. I just think that the words that you get from Mike Shildt is painting a different picture than what everybody else is watching.
Here's a segue. Did you see Brick Caroli's article in The Athletic today about Fernando Tatis Jr.?
I did not, John. I did not.
Like the reason I'm reminded of it is 619 texted in basically saying, like, what about Tatis here? Like Tatis wasn't even on 2022. He's got the $340 million also. We spend so much time on Manny.
He's not a winner, by the way. He hasn't won anything.
Right. So like as critical as we've been of Manny Machado, not that Fernando's gotten a pass. He hasn't. He's had a lot of spotlight on him for bad decisions that he's made over the course of time. But it's like Brick Caroli wrote about like Toddy, and he's still young and he's still out to prove people wrong. And this could be a breakout. And I'm like thinking to myself, well, if it's going to be a breakout, why haven't we seen it? When is the breakout coming for Fernando Tatis Jr.? We're waiting for 2025 now because he had a shoulder, so it could take multiple years. He had a PED, he had a wrist. So at what point do the excuses run out for Fernando Tatis Jr.? In terms of the accountability, who's more accountable? Manny or Toddy? It's like, hey, Manny did win in 2022. Where were you, Toddy?
I saw something today on social media about, hey, Toddy's swinging the bat better. He's making better contact.
You saw it from Darnay?
He's not. Oh, it was from Darnay? Okay. He's not striking out a lot. He's not chasing a bunch of pitches. Okay, cool. Where's the results? The results are still a net. I mean, it's just, they're not good. Unless he turns it around and unless this stretch that is being talked about is like he's playing better or swinging the bat better turns into like a 3-week hot stretch, then to me, it doesn't matter. Like, you got to get results here. Same thing with Manny. This 8-game hitting streak that he's on, I mean, it is like the softest 8-game hitting streak I've ever seen. Now, they're going to need those two guys, and it's great that they have been playing better with those two guys not playing well at all, because that's a good sign for the team. If you want to go positive route, I think that's a good sign. Having your star players sucking, but they're still a game over 500. It could be a lot worse, but it also could be a lot better. Imagine if everything was the same and Toddy and Manny were performing. Then what? I think that Mike Shildt then could be like a little more combative if he wanted to questions, because I think they'd be a better baseball team.
I mean, truthfully, and listen, I've said this repeatedly. You've heard me say it a lot over the last couple of years. I think Padres fans are incredibly supportive, and I think it's a good thing. And you've got 40,000 people at every single game. At some point, I think we need to take more of a look into what is going to happen here with Fernando Tatis Jr. moving forward. At what point is he not the $340 million man?
He's not the $340 million man right now.
At what point do we say he's just not going to be like, oh, well, he's only 25, but okay. But there are two careers for Fernando Tatis Jr. There's the player he was before the suspension and injuries, and the player he's been since.
Yeah. I will continue to say I really don't care about how hard he hit the ball unless it turns into results. Very simple.
I agree with that.
Like, I know that's part of baseball, and I know that's the most frustrating part of baseball is that you can hit a ball on the screws, and you could hit a line drive 115 miles an hour off the bat, and it still could be an out.
And by the way, that's not his season.
It's not his
maybe
season.
He's hit the ball hard the last 3 days. Great.
It's not. And if unless it turns into the results, same thing with Manny. I remember a couple weeks ago, everyone's like, "Oh, Manny's hitting the ball hard." It wasn't turning in any results, and it needs to turn into positives here, or else it doesn't matter.
I agree. All right, so this debacle that played out last night in Major League Baseball, it could always be worse, Padres fans. You could be the New York Mets organization. Jorge Lopez, you'll hear what he said postgame, but who looks worse in this saga? Is it the pitcher that threw his team arguably under the bus? He's actually clarified. Or is it the New York Mets organization? We'll explain on the other side. Plus, Scott Miller, New York Times, will join us at 4 p.m. Plus, great giveaways today. We're with you until 6 p.m. on Jon and Jim. Jorge Lopez and the New York Mets, the latest in that saga, next.
All right, this update's brought to you by Indeed.com. Padres, they have an off day today. They start their road trip tomorrow. First up, the Kansas City Royals. That game, stupid Jim. 5:10 first pitch. Dylan Cease on the mound.
It's not.
5:10 first pitch, John.
Oh, yeah, tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Kansas City is in a different time
Kansas
zone,
City.
John.
Michael Walker on the mound, former Padre for the Royals tomorrow night. NBA action tonight, game 5 of the Western Conference Finals. Timberwolves trying to avoid being eliminated by the Mavericks as the Mavs have a 3-1 series lead. 5:30 tip-off time in Minnesota. And the Aztecs football schedule has been released today. Their first game of the year will be versus Texas A&M Commerce at Snapdragon Stadium on August 31st. The time is still TBA. Need to hire? You need Indeed. Their all-in-one platform helps you attract, interview, and hire candidates all from one place. And Indeed's interview tool lets you schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from their website. Visit Indeed.com/credit today.
All right, Scott Miller. At 4 p.m. So, listen, it hasn't necessarily been easy to be a Padres fan over the years. That's probably putting it lightly.
There's been a couple good moments here and
There's
there.
been some moments, and I was going to say you could always be a Mets fan. Then again, the Mets have won World Series. But, I mean, the Mets' history is filled with disasters and debacles, okay? Especially recent history. So, this has been a complete disaster of a year.
But that was expected, though.
Not like this. If you're listening to Gary Cohen every single night, I mean, this team is bad.
But they got rid of
I know, but
Verlander
it's New York
and Scherzer last year.
Yeah, but
and,
I'll give you an example.
Okay.
The Marlins might be bad, but their pitchers aren't throwing gloves into the stands and then saying what Jorge Lopez said yesterday. Now, he's clarified his remarks. English is his second language. If you missed this, this was Jorge Lopez, veteran reliever, a lot of time in the big leagues, was having a decent year. This was after getting ejected in another Mets loss yesterday.
Carlos Mendoza said that he understands the emotion, but that particular action of throwing your glove into the stands was unacceptable. Looking back on it, do you regret doing that?
No. I don't regret it. I think I've been looking the worst team in probably in the whole MLB. So, whatever happened. So, whatever they want to do it, I'll be tomorrow here if they want me. Whatever they want to do. So, I'm gonna keep doing this thing. So I'm healthy on whatever. On whatever to do. I'm ready to come back tomorrow. And if they want me to be here, so I'll be here.
Not so fast.
Oofa.
Well, the Mets then take him up on the bluff and DFA him.
Well, here's the first part of this whole thing. SNY New York, their Twitter account, posted
I'm
this,
the worst.
This video, and then the quote in the the top thing is like, I've been the worst. We're the worst team in baseball.
The worst effing
team in baseball.
Which, by the way, I mean, I don't really, to use a Shiltyism, take exception to it. You'd have to listen to it multiple times to hear him say teammate.
That was where the problem lied, is that an account that video has, I think, like almost 2 million impressions.
But
and
he
it's
was
the wrong
asked to
quote.
clarify. Well, he was asked. They said we asked him to clarify, and
No.
he doubled down on it. Then he today just put out a statement saying that's not what I said. You know what I mean? Like,
It's weird.
So English is not his primary language, obviously. And when I heard that initially, I sent it to you. When I heard it initially, I thought he said team. So it's, I mean, are we really, is every quote needs to be verified a second time? It's New York City. I mean, when you say that in New York City, it's going to be a runway.
How is the Mets PR department not there,
Yeah,
or
to
at
like
least
help
like
clarify or
having an interpreter there?
Yeah, exactly.
Another interpreter scapegoat.
I just, that to me, I don't understand. And by the way, how do they let him speak?
I know.
Like, how are you are gonna DFA this guy? And I'm probably
But
pretty
was he
certain,
DFA because of what he said?
I would. Good question.
But that's a bad look, because if he clarified his remarks and was DFA'd because of what he said, he went on Instagram, I think within the last hour, and said, among a number of things, that I want to clarify my post-game remarks because I had no intention of disparaging the Mets. During that interview, I spoke candidly, and he said, I felt that I said the worst teammate in the entire league. Unfortunately, my efforts to address the media in English created some confusion and generated headlines that do not reflect what I was trying to express.
Well, if you are going into listening to this knowing that he says teammate, or listening for the word teammate,
Still not great.
you can hear him say
He's also, but he's
teammate.
saying I'm the worst. He's saying I'm the worst guy on this team.
Yeah,
I'm
the
a
worst
bad teammate. That's
I'm
not
a
a good
bad-
thing to say.
No, it's not a good thing to say, but I think people at first listen, and because of what the tweet said, thought that he said team and not teammate.
Even if the tweet didn't say that, and I agree with you, but hear me out. I just heard it again with Brent playing it. I think 8 out of 10 or more people hearing that would think he said team. It's very hard in listening to that audio. Can we play it again? That first, it's very hard if you listen to this to think he's saying teammate. He says like team. Take a listen again.
Doing that?
No, I don't regret it. I think I've been looking the worst team in probably in the whole MLB. So
Okay, that's a team in. It sounds like team in the MLB.
Well, then that's where you need to have the interpreter there. That's where
agree.
you need to have the PR staff there. That's where you need to talk to him before he talks to the media.
I agree with that.
Like,
hey, let's go with this line. I know you threw your
Yes.
glove away, but let's keep this thing PC.
yeah, we are going to have an interpreter with you to make sure everything is clarified and right.
Dude, the New York Post the next day ran with the line.
I know.
So and there was clarification coming last night. The New York Post still ran with, we're the worst effing team in Major League Baseball.
Right.
Because it almost did. It sounded like he said it.
well,
It's a bad situation.
it's a really bad situation. If Padres fans out there are upset this year so far with the 30-29 Padres and their roller coaster of a season, even though Mike Shildt will take exception to that, it could be worse, and it could be the Mets. Because if it was the Mets right now, oh boy.
I mean, the
I know.
cover of the New York Post
I know.
today, worst team in the whole effing MLB.
Dude.
Is what it says. Now he's clarified his remarks. If he says he didn't mean to say that, then he didn't mean to say that. But
Brutal.
man, and by the way, I mean, I kind of feel bad. We're all human beings. Like everyone's got low points. They're not in front of the New York media. I hope he gets another opportunity. He's had a long career. He's 31. He's been in the big leagues a lot. I hope that's not how it ends.
No, I feel bad too because
Yeah.
everybody's emotions just kind of take over at some point. Like when you're so mad, you're just in the moment, and sometimes you can't control yourself. And I don't think he crossed a line with throwing his glove into the stands.
No, either do I.
I don't
He didn't
think
throw a ball. He didn't whip a ball at 90.
he didn't put anybody in danger or like harm
It was
anybody.
over a net.
Yeah, it was over a net. Some fan caught his glove and was like, "Oh, this is cool."
Exactly.
And by the way, I mean, I don't blame him for being pissed.
No.
Like the team does suck.
Well, he got tossed by a third base umpire who said that the batter checked his swing. And he gave some type of visual reaction to like, are you kidding me? And the guy tossed him. He's like, you're serious? The third base umpire? There, they just showed it again. The third base umpire tossed him.
Right.
Which is really unique and rare.
Yeah.
He threw his mitt. So what? We've seen way worse.
So what do you think he was truly DFA'd for? That or post-game comments?
Comments. It's New York.
Comments?
Yeah.
So you think that they weren't having discussions about DFAing him before those comments?
Maybe he had 3.4 ERA. I mean, I don't know if he's my primary DFA candidate.
Now, I know that the Mets manager did come out today, and he did talk about DFAing him.
Okay.
And it was along the lines of like, we don't tolerate those types of actions here.
So talking more about the act of throwing the mitt.
He said that when you're not playing well, guys will show emotions. That's frustration. But there's a fine line. Yesterday, he went over the line. We're not going to tolerate that. We have standards here.
He just gave a fan a good souvenir.
Yeah.
I mean, this game is so freaking hard.
It is.
Okay. And him throwing his glove over the net into the stands. I don't have a problem with it.
Neither do I.
I kind of look at it as like I get it, man. I totally get it. You know, he didn't flip off the fans. He didn't pull an Ian Kinsler. Okay. He didn't throw a bat as like hard as he possibly could in the stands, endangering somebody. Like, it's a glove that he tossed over the net and fell in someone's lap.
Like, listen to this.
But
heading into
whatever.
Up through May 24th, this guy had thrown like 20 times. He had a 2.52 ERA. His last two outings, 1 inning, 3 runs, 2 earned, and yesterday, a third of an inning, 2 runs. He's got a 2.52 ERA, and he's been DFA'd because of his actions. Okay. I mean, we're accountable for our actions. I understand it. I mean, I'm trying to put it in perspective. I mean, if Stephen Kolek had a comparable year, said I'm on the worst team in baseball, he'd probably be DFA'd. Now, if he threw his mitt into the stands at Petco, would he be DFA'd? I don't know. I really don't know.
So talking about the Mets situation, it makes me feel pretty good about the Padres situation.
Yeah, exactly. The Padres are
let's
way
just
better
talk
off.
more about the Mets, so then we all feel way better about the Padres, because the Padres look like a class way above the Mets when you start seeing this stuff and DFA'd for comments and throwing your mitt in the stands. And Padres are like the golden child team compared to all that stuff.
No doubt about it. All right. I want to react to a text that just rolled in on our text line 70470 started with team that is taking exception, to use a Shiltyism, to something that we said here on Jon and Jim. Plus, the Aztecs TV schedule with kick times for a majority of the games has been released. We'll react to that on the other side. And Scott Miller from the New York Times will join us coming up at 4 p.m. to talk more about the Padres. That's next. All right, reacting to our text line 70470, started with the word team. Plus, San Diego State's TV schedule has been released for the upcoming football season. We'll react next. With San Diego Sports 760, anytime, anywhere, whether you're stepping out of the car or settling in at home, just ask your Google or Alexa smart speaker to play AM 760 live through the iHeartRadio app. It's never been easier to stay connected with your favorite shows, potentially like this one. San Diego Sports 760 goes where you go. The text line, 704-370, start with T. I love the text line. Please take a shot at maybe both of us, but certainly you. 858, LOL, not sure which one of you just said. I think
This is me.
I know how frustrating it must be to hit the ball on the screws and not get results. But regardless, the other agreed. Okay, you really know, don't you? Rolling on the floor laughing must be one of the dumbest things I've heard from a disc jockey, which is not our job.
Did I say I know how hard it is to hit a baseball through?
No, you didn't.
I don't think I did.
Is this the classic? This is the shut up and dribble or you didn't play line. Jim didn't play in the major leagues, therefore he could have no idea of how hard it is to play in the major leagues.
So basically, every single media member that's in this town, none of them can talk about it except for one. No one can talk about baseball except Marty, except one person. So I guess we're SOL, John. I guess we better.
Well, 858 played in the big leagues for 7 years, remember? With Cincinnati and Kansas City. Had to hit 299 in 2006 for that playoff team.
Was he an all-star?
No.
Oh.
He was second team all MLB. Whatever.
Look, it's what I mean.
Give me a break.
Whatever.
By the way,
Whatever.
you're completely misconstruing
Thanks for
it.
listening. I appreciate
You're completely misconstruing it. The truth is, what Jim said is spot on. No one cares if he hits the ball hard. Show me the pudding, not how you make the pudding.
Show me the hot dog. Don't tell me how it's made.
Whatever they say.
I like pudding better.
You know what I mean? No one truly is going to care at the end of the year. If they go 82 and 80, are people be like, yeah, but Jackson Merrill hit 271? No one cares.
Shilty will.
I mean, that's nice at the
100% will.
Stephen Kolek really developed his breaking pitch in the second
Hey
half.
guys, can we talk about how great Jackson Merrill was this season for us? I mean, why are we talking about us not making the postseason for a second consecutive year?
Were you here when we talked about this? Is a serious question, Brent. We mentioned this, right? When Shildt, it was the end of a press conference against the Yankees. It was your wedding night, or Friday night, and it was over. And he sat there. And he's like, "Can I mention Stephen Kolek?"
Yeah.
They
that was
lost
on Friday.
9-1. He goes, oh, you need to listen to this audio. Marty has it on our YouTube channel.
No way.
Can I mention Stephen Kolek? His breaking pitch tonight was nasty. That was a win for us. They lost the game either 8-0 or 8-1. It was the first game of the series. They were down 8-0. Forget what the final score is. I think they were shut out 8-0. But Stephen Kolek's breaking pitch for us is a win. God,
He really
nobody
said that?
asked.
He really said that?
He said that. He said that. You
It's-
missed it.
Oh man, I wanted to like Shilty this year. I really did. But the more that this type of stuff you hear from him, for me, it's hard. He's a fine manager. I'm not like criticizing his in-game decisions. I think he's been fine in game. I think that he's done everything that by the book, right? And I think also he's been aggressive with some moves that have benefited the team with Robert Suarez and Estrada. Like, I mean, that wasn't happening last year. We obviously all know why it wasn't happening, but to get some guys to buy in to put the team first, I think has helped this team and have 3 or 4 wins because of it, like more wins because of it. But everything else that he says and does, I cringe. I really do. I just don't understand it.
They better win.
And you're right. They better win because then this stuff doesn't matter. But they're not like that great of a baseball team right now. They're just average.
Honestly, Jim, I am amazed at the apologists. I really am. Like, I'm all for the passion of Padres fans. I think it's incredible the way they draw. I think the
love
interest
the
is.
passion
I
of Padres
love
fans.
but the apologist nature of it. You know, they're 15-11 this month. They're 30-29 guys, and it may be good enough. But don't give me the 15-11 or they're 2-1 in their last 3. And if they played 2-1 baseball all year, they'd go 110-50 or whatever. They're 30-29. That's who they are. That's who they are. They're not 15-11. They're not 16-11. They're 30-29. I don't understand what is so hard about that. Now, if they have a good series in Kansas City, they're a lot better than that. If they have a bad series in Kansas City, they're a lot worse than that. So I think we're being honest. And for whatever reason, some people can't deal with that.
Yeah, I can't. This team has a lot of potential. They do. I'll acknowledge that. They do. They've shown glimpses where it's like they're a good team, but they haven't shown it for a consistent amount of time this year. And that's where we're sitting here asking ourselves, can they do that? And I think it's completely fair to ask. It's not completely fair in Shilty's mind. In Shilty's mind, they can do no wrong. But for us sitting here, and for most of the media, cover this team, is a completely fair question. Can this team put it together? Can this team be consistent? And can this team put together winning streaks and not go through the ups and downs that they have had to the first 59 games of the year?
But they've won 7 of their last 9 series, Jim.
I give 2 Fs about how many series they've won. They're 30-29.
858, show me the pudding. All right, Scott Miller.
What kind of pudding, John?
I like vanilla.
Of course you do.
Of course.
I would hate chocolate pudding.
Why? Chocolate pudding's amazing.
Disgusting.
That's too exciting for John.
It's way disgusting-ish.
Let me guess. When you get a milkshake from somewhere, it's like a vanilla milkshake.
100%. I don't like chocolate cakes, but I like vanilla.
What's your favorite dessert?
Sherbet. All right, on the other side, Scott Miller, New York
Plain
Times,
with nothing on it.
I want the Padres
the
through 59
non-flavored
games.
sherbet, just like the white one.
Scott
the
Miller.
white sherbet.
Scott Miller next.
Unflavored yogurt.
All right, this update is brought to you by Indeed.com. Padres, they are off today, but they're back in action tomorrow night versus the Kansas City Royals. 5:10 first pitch in Kansas City as they'll take on old friend Michael Wacha. Dylan Cease on the mound for the Padres. Moving over to the NBA tonight, just one game, Western Conference Finals, game number 5 in Minnesota. 5:30 tip-off time there. Timberwolves are trying to force a game 6. Meanwhile, the Mavericks are trying to punch their ticket to the NBA Finals, where they would face the Boston Celtics. And the San Diego State football team announced today their upcoming schedule for the 2024 season. They'll open up on August 31st versus Texas A&M Commerce. Time for that game is still TBA. Need to hire? You need Indeed. Their all-in-one platform helps you attract, interview, and hire candidates all from one place. And Indeed's interview tools let you schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from their website. Visit Indeed.com/credit today.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? Hour 2, Jon and Jim. This hour, your chance to win tickets to see Janet Jackson and Nelly next week at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. Be listening for that. Plus, on a Padres off day, we're talking about the Padres with Scott Miller, great baseball voice and writer, does work with the New York Times. He's back with us, longtime friend of the show here on San Diego Sports 760, and Jon and Jim. So, Scott, we appreciate you hopping back on. Padres, essentially a 500 team. I mean, a game over at 30-29. One of the common themes that's developed, and I'm curious to get your opinion on as to why, Mike Shildt has been an ardent defender of his team, which makes sense. He's their manager, but they're not 40-20. They're 30-29. What's your reaction to the way that Mike Shildt publicly discusses his team so far this year?
I'm not surprised because, like you said, he's the manager.
Yep.
And not only that, he's the first-year manager. And so he's still in the process of earning respect from the players. It's still in the process of bonding with the players. And from that perspective, I think him or anybody else in his position, the natural thing to do is to bend over backwards at all instances, defending your team and telling people how much you like the team. The other thing is, things ended so badly for him, so shockingly, in St. Louis when he was fired a few years back after, guiding them to a 17-game winning streak. And then they lost a 1-game wild card to the Dodgers. And then that, shortly after that, he was fired because of a philosophical dispute with the Cardinals front office. I know from talking, so from that perspective, the reason I brought that up is I think Mike Shildt, after that, he's a career minor league manager until he got the break with the Cardinals. He didn't know if he'd ever get another shot at the major leagues. He finally did. So I think he's taking great pains to make sure that, that he and the players on his team have a tight bond. And so for all of these reasons, I think this is why you see what's happening happen.
What do you make of where the Padres are at right now, 30-29? Are they where you expected them to be, worse off, or better off?
They're about where I expected, to be honest with you. I thought this year's team would have a chance to be a little better than last year's. I know that sounds silly because last year the expectations were so high, but by season's end, it was, as we know, it was such a train wreck. I thought the trade of Juan Soto would be addition by subtraction. And I'm not just blaming Juan Soto from last year, but, I thought that's the most noticeable absence from last year. And I really thought it had a chance to be addition by subtraction. I still think that's the case, which means I think this year's team, it's not going to beat the Dodgers, and I don't know what their final record's going to be. Last year they were 82-80.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I could see maybe a couple games better than last year, not significantly better. And they were 2 over last year. They're 1 over right now. And I think what you see is kind of what you get. I think they can play a little bit better, and like I say, maybe be 3 or 4 games over 500 by year's end. But I don't think they're, that they're a sleeping giant. They're going to be 20 games over 500, nor do I think they're as bad as some people thought maybe they'd be going into the season.
So you don't think they're a playoff team? If I'm hearing that right?
Well, I mean, there's 6 playoff slots now, right? So, I mean, yeah, by what I said, I think they're borderline playoff team. I think they're, given the record, they'll be in the mix for the 5th or 6th wild card slot. That, now whether they get there or not is going to depend on health and pitching and Manny Machado playing better. And Fernando Tatis being a little more productive. But yeah, I mean, I don't think they're a guaranteed playoff team. No. I think they're certainly good enough to be in the mix for the 5th or 6th wild card slot.
Yeah, I think that's well said. Scott Miller, New York Times, with us right now. Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. Scott, if you were the general manager, which you're not, and you had a chance to add, let's just say, because we know who this team is, they'll, like you said, they're not going to be 20 games over 500 at the trade deadline, but they're very unlikely to be quote unquote out of it at the trade deadline as well. So if you're kind of in it, you're hovering around that 6th and final playoff spot, and you could add one piece. What type of piece would you add to this Padres team?
Pitching. You always win with pitching. If I could add a starting pitcher to add depth to the rotation, I would. Understanding, given where the Padres payroll is and who's going to be out there, I mean, you're not looking at adding like a top tier Garrett Cole kind of guy. It's going to be a 4th or 5th starter, but I would take a flyer at the trade deadline on that. And if I didn't see a starting pitching deal that I liked, then I would look to bulk up the bullpen a little bit, and I'd go to the relief market. Absolutely, I would go pitching because, I mean, we still don't know Joe Musgrove's shoulder after last year. I mean, Musgrove looks like he's starting to round into shape, but those shoulders are tricky things. And we don't know, is Joe Musgrove going to be the same old guy, or is he going to be kind of trying to find it all year? Darvish, tweaks the hamstring yesterday. He's already been on the injured list once. Is this hamstring going to send him back on the injured list? This is the top part of the Padres rotation, Darvish and Musgrove. They're not young anymore, and especially Darvish is, going to be 38 soon. So I think, as I say, Michael King has been inconsistent. They need some consistency out of him. If he can give them consistency, certainly back to your question about the playoff slot, they're going to have a lot better chance at a wild card slot if Michael King can produce like some of his better games this year on a more consistent basis. But anyway, yeah, for all these reasons, I mean, you always have pitchers hurt, pitchers come and go. I think without a doubt trade deadline, because they already added Luis Ariz. That was a nice add. That might be one of AJ Preller's best by the time all is said and done. But I'd absolutely go pitching. Hopefully a starting pitcher. Failing that, bullpen help, but pitching.
You follow more of all of baseball than I do because we focus so much on the Padres here, Scott. But Jeremiah Estrada and Robert Suarez, to me, tell me if you agree, that's the best 1-2 punch in the back end of a bullpen in baseball. Is that accurate on your opinion, or do you think that they really are?
No, I think right now, I mean, if you did those power rankings of both back end of bullpens as we speak, I mean, maybe 2 weeks from now it could be a little different, but oh my gosh, no question. Estrada, the strikeout streak he has, and Suarez has been so good. So no doubt that, I do think that as we stand right now, certainly that's as at least as good of a 1-2 punch. And I'd agree, probably the best 1-2 punch back end of a bullpen in baseball right now. And, and that's all the more reason, in my opinion, to add pitching at the trade deadline, because as good as Estrada and Suarez are at the back end of the pen, those are hard pieces to find sometimes. So, the stronger you can make your pitching staff, you've got those pieces in line already. You've got Dylan Cease, who's been mostly very good this year. Darvish and Musgrove, hopefully they can keep healthy. They've got the makings of a rotation and back end of a bullpen, to snag one of those playoff slots. But, it still comes down to pitching, and you can never have enough of it.
Scott Miller, New York Times, with us right now on Jon and Jim. A couple of national baseball storylines, Scott, include what happened yesterday after the Mets disaster where Jorge Lopez is ejected. He throws his glove. He's arguably, I guess, misquoted by the New York media. He's clarified his remarks. Why do you believe he was designated? Was it because of him throwing the glove? Was it because of his post-game comments? Was it the way he was pitching? His numbers weren't bad. What happened there? Why did that play out the way it did?
Yeah, I think a combination. Things have been so bad for the Mets the past couple of weeks. I think it's a combination of the post-game comments and the throwing his glove, especially the throwing his glove. Weirdly, I was home yesterday, and I happened to be watching that live. And I saw that. I was like, you got to be kidding me. I don't know when I've last seen a player throw his glove into the crowd like that. But, I mean, it's one thing, guys, if you do that because you're arguing, say, with an umpire. I mean, I've seen guys get really heated in arguments with umpires where they think they're wrong. And, you throw equipment from the dugout onto the field. But to just kind of cavalierly do that, based on a number of things, mostly that the opposing hitters are cuffing you, you've got to have more self-control than that. It was just a bizarre moment, and it's going to end up being the poster moment for all that's gone wrong with the Mets so far this year. And they had a rough day yesterday anyway. I mean, they put their closer Diaz on the injured list right before the game. And then right there in the early innings, Pete Alonso gets hit on the hand, and it looks like he's going to be out for a while. They've been losing. And then you have the Lopez thing. And, you just, at the major league level, minor leagues really too, but especially at the major league level, you've got to have more self-control than just throwing your glove like high up over the netting into the stands. And, I felt, to be honest with you, I felt bad. I feel bad for Lopez for the post-game comments because, oftentimes he does those interviews with a Hispanic translator. And I guess just circumstances yesterday, he did the interview in English. And clearly, if you read some of his tweets today, it's kind of broken English. I mean, English is a second language. And I hate to see the reaction to when he said, I'm on the worst team. And he says he meant he was the worst teammate. Mm-hmm. We can argue that all day long, but when a guy's doing an interview in a second language, I give him the benefit of the doubt every time. People don't realize how difficult that is, especially in an emotional moment. Yeah. If you're speaking in your second language. And, I marvel all the time at, from guys like David Ortiz when he was playing, to beyond, where their first language is Spanish, second is English, and they do interviews in English. And I mean, Lord knows I could never do an interview in whatever second language I would attempt. And, I think that's easy to overlook. I don't think fans all the time understand how difficult that is. And that's why a lot of guys use a translator. So many guys, Ichiro Suzuki comes to mind, and really Yu Darvish, they speak really, really good English. But Ichiro, in part, Darvish will do some interviews every now and then in English, and a lot of times he'll prefer a translator. Ichiro, 100% of the time, used a translator because they understood I can speak English, but I don't want to get myself in trouble because it's my second language and I don't want to say something wrong. And whatever Lopez meant yesterday in the interview, maybe he's just covering up for himself a day later. Maybe he really said, my team, this is the worst team ever. Or maybe he honestly meant to say, I'm the worst teammate, and it didn't come out right. I give him the benefit of the doubt for all the reasons I just explained. People don't realize it gets awful dicey, especially in the heat of the moment when guys are speaking in their second language.
I agree with you. I hope he gets another chance. I mean, this is not some guy
Yeah.
he's had a decent length big league career. He was having a nice season until his last couple of outings. That should not be the way it ends. I hope he's not fully labeled based on this one incident. Scott, we always appreciate you hopping on. We hope to do it again later on in the summer. And thanks for taking 10 or 15 minutes for us.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you. Talk soon.
All right, Scott Miller, New York Times. Yeah, we touched on that earlier. It's just a kind of a bad season, bad circumstance, bad night that is only accentuated in New York. If he throws his glove, Jim, in Kansas City in game one of a Royals Padres series, I don't know if he's DFA'd. My guess is he's not, but New York's different. It really is.
Yep. And again, if Padres fans out there, when every time the Padres lose, think it's the worst thing in the world,
could be worse.
Could be worse. Look what the Mets are doing right now. That's the worst.
Absolutely.
All right. It's worse. It can be worse than the Mets too, but
the Mets are just kind of like LMAO Mets. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, they're never they don't win 50 games.
They're not the White Sox.
No. But it's like they kind of try to be good and aren't good.
Their payroll is, I think, the highest in baseball still.
Is it still right now?
I think it's still over 300 million.
That's pathetic.
Yeah.
We touched on this earlier, although never really fully got to it for whatever reason. But the Aztecs TV schedule with kick times is out. Jim's been talking about that opener in his update against Texas A&M Commerce. My dad used to always say he lives in Palm Beach County. There's a big difference between Palm Beach and Palm Beach County. So they open against an FCS opponent. We knew that. It's a really, you said this off air, and I agree with you. It's a really intriguing schedule. It's the first time in forever that San Diego State would, quote unquote, play 3 power programs. They could argue power with what's going on with Oregon State and Washington State, but they host Oregon State and Washington State at Snapdragon Stadium. Both of those games will be at 7:30 at night. The other marquee games for me, Jim, at Cal is on ESPN, also at 7:30 at night. And then the Boise game was moved from a Saturday to a Friday. It's a 5 p.m. Pacific start, November 1st. Boise is supposed to be really good. Kind of a marquee opportunity. This game's on, I think it is, FS1, 5 o'clock Pacific. You can hear it, of course, on San Diego Sports 760. So those are some of the games that, for me, stick out for the Aztecs heading into next year.
You could argue in recent memory, this on paper is the best looking Aztec schedule they've had in a while.
Best/hardest.
Hardest too. But I mean, hey, what's been one of the complaints about Aztec football is like the scheduling but it's not, their fault because of where they're at. They've scheduled Pac-12 schools in the past, and now you get 3 former Pac-12 schools this year in Oregon State, Cal, and Washington State, the kind of 3 that are left over, even though Cal is part of the ACC now, or are they not?
That's correct.
Okay.
No, you're right.
So you have 1 ACC school, and then you have 2 just like schools that are just
out there in the ether.
They're just out there.
Now, to your point on non-conference, I think the athletic department, J.D. Wicker, the football program has really done a phenomenal job traditionally with non-conference, right? Like the Arizona States home and homes, the UCLA home and homes. Like, listen to this. This year, like you said, Cal, Washington State, Oregon State.
Central Michigan is on. I mean, it's not like a walkthrough there.
Not at all. Next year, your 2 quote-unquote power games, Cal at home at Washington State. In the future, at UCLA and Oregon State at home in 2026. This is when it gets interesting. Listen to this in 2027.
Yeah.
I know we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
Missouri at home out of the SEC at Oklahoma.
Yeah, the Oklahoma series, yeah.
And then in 2028, Arizona State at home and at Missouri. And then eventually in 2029, if this holds true, the University of Oklahoma, the Sooners, will be at Snapdragon Stadium.
Are you getting your call sheet ready for that game?
Not yet. Oh, you see my boards?
Is that what it's called?
It's like boards. I call it like boards. Imagine my 2029 Oklahoma boards.
Yeah.
How cool is that idea, though? The University of Oklahoma, one of the proudest, most decorated college football programs ever.
Yep.
With national championship after national championship, moving from the Big 12 to the SEC. San Diego State has a 3-game future series with the Sooners. So I give the Aztecs a ton of credit for the way they've scheduled the non-conference. Conference you can't control. They don't control what conference they're in.
No,
we've had that conversation for a year plus.
You play who's in front of you, and I think the schedule is fairly good. I think if you're an Aztecs fan, you look at the schedule and you say, I like those games. I like those matchups. It's going to be fun to watch them take on, Cal and Oregon State and Washington State and then Boise. And so I think it's good. I like it. It's going to be a tough test for this team. You look at it on paper. It's pretty much just a completely new roster, right? I mean, it's a completely new roster.
A lot of it.
A completely new coaching staff. Coming off a 4-win season last year, you're looking at this year. I would say anything like above 6 wins or higher would be considered, I think, somewhat successful.
I think it would be very successful.
Like,
I think you get to bowl eligibility with those 3 quote unquote power games, 3 of your 12.
You get to 6-6. I first year head coach, first quarterbacks and new players everywhere and new schemes and everything. Like, I would consider that. I know that we'll be talking about that more down the line here as the season gets closer and closer. But looking at the schedule, I think anything higher than 6 wins or at 6 wins would be considered a success.
Hear me out for a second. Brent brought this to my attention. I saw this previously. SC, Florida State, Texas, Wisconsin, the University of Washington, Florida Gators, Tennessee Volunteers, San Diego State Aztecs. What do they have in common? They will all receive the same distribution for the video game by EA Sports. EA Sports put all of the Division I programs in tiers. Tier 1, 2, 3, and 4. San Diego State deemed based on their success over the last 10 years in Tier 2, along with Florida State, USC, Texas, Wisconsin, Florida, Washington, and others. There's then a Tier 3, which has a ton of Power 5 schools, South Carolina, Syracuse,
Colorado,
Washington State, Colorado. And then there's a Tier 4, which is actually a majority of the schools in FBS. There's only about 10 schools in Tier 1. Tier 2 includes San Diego State.
Hey, look, when I finally buy a PS5 and I get
You're going to have to now.
EA Sports College Football 24, look, I don't care what tier the Aztecs are in. They'll be playing for national championships every year.
Within about an hour, right?
Yeah, I will be the most aggressive recruiter on the freaking planet. My NIL.
How much money you need?
I'm going to be, that 5-star recruit quarterback. Like,
I got 6.6 mil.
Give me some little hush money. I don't care. Like, we're going to get that guy into San Diego State. I'm going to do everything I possibly can. I'm going to resort all of my efforts to recruiting the top talent in the country to come to San Diego State. We're going to turn this thing into a power program.
Rich McGuire,
even though it's been very, very successful for the last decade.
Rich McGuire on YouTube. Jim, didn't you get a PS5 for your wedding?
No, I didn't.
Not on the registry?
Not on the registry. I could get one though with the money that we got, but
I'm sure Aaron would love that.
I don't know if Aaron would like that.
Hey,
all of a sudden
pay off for a videographer or buy a PS5.
Yeah, $450 are missing, and then all of a sudden a PS5 comes in the mail.
Do you? I have a question for you on the other side. I have a question for married people. Okay. Do you share bank accounts or not? I'll explain the question further on the other side. Plus, we'll get to the wrap. Plus, trivia this hour with the chance to win a great prize. 2 free tickets to see Janet Jackson and Nelly next week, June 6th at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. It's hour 2 of Jon and Jim. Stay with us. All right, the wrap on the other side, plus your opportunity later this hour to win tickets to see Janet Jackson with Nelly next week at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. Don't go anywhere.
All right, this update is brought to you by Indeed.com. Padres, they have an off day today, but they're back in action tomorrow on the road in Kansas City. 5:10 first pitch. Michael Wacha, old friend, will be on the mound for the Royals against Dylan Cease for the Padres. Moving over to NBA action. We're about an hour away from tip-off in Game 5 between the Timberwolves and the Mavericks. Mavericks are looking to punch their ticket to the NBA Finals to take on the Boston Celtics. Timberwolves are trying to force a Game 6. And the Aztecs, they released their TV schedule today. Their first game of the year will be August 31st against Texas A&M Commerce at Snapdragon Stadium. The time for that game is TBA. Need to hire? You need Indeed. They're all in one platform, helps you attract, interview, and hire candidates all from one place. And Indeed's interview tools let you schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from their website. Visit Indeed.com/credit today.
All right, your chance in about 15 minutes to win those tickets to see Janet Jackson with Nelly. This is June 6th, which is a week from today.
By the way, your birthday
It's June 8th.
is up on the board now.
Good. Well, why? It's
I mean,
only
why?
May.
Well, because it's the last day of May, if I'm not mistaken.
No, tomorrow's May.
Maybe there's no more birthdays in May. So they just decided to roll over and go into June.
They're rolling over to June in May.
Tomorrow's 31st, you're right.
Yeah.
So yeah, happy birthday on the 8th, John.
Thank you.
I'll probably forget it, but I'll remember
you
it.
will.
Only guy looking at the board out there.
Okay, a couple of things. I asked, do married people have joint financial like savings accounts? We don't.
You don't?
No. Kristen's got Kristen's money. John's got John's money.
Did you ever talk about finances with her?
Yeah. Like we split the mortgage. There's certain things we split. There's certain things I pay for. There's certain things she pays for.
Does she know how much money's in your account?
Yeah, we can see our accounts,
Okay.
but they're completely separate accounts.
Okay.
Which you gotta like, I got my money, she's got her money. You do you, I do me.
Yeah.
Do we need to share everything? Like, if she's buying a handbag, I don't want that to come out of my money.
That's
I don't
true.
want the handbag.
Yeah. Me and Aaron had this actually had this talk the other night. I have my account. She has her account.
Right. Well, you just got married.
Right. But what we were planning on doing is taking the money we got from our wedding and then making like a joint account with that
Okay.
money,
Okay.
while also keeping
Separate accounts.
separate accounts.
Mhm.
So like we'll have
I think that's a
one,
good idea.
one account for me. She has her own account because you're right. Like she buys stuff. So there's so many times that Amazon packages will just show up at my door. I'm like, what is happening right now? For the wedding, it was
insane.
It was like Amazon like knew our house by heart because it
Aaron
was
be like, he's buying damn Pokemon cards again.
yeah.
Right.
Here comes the PS5. Amazon was at our house every single day for the last
Well,
like
that's
month
what
and a
I'm
half.
saying. That's great. So she earns what she earns, and
Yeah.
she can buy what she wants to buy.
Yeah, she
you earn what you earn.
She
you can
carries
buy
the
what you wanna
family weight pretty much.
buy. Right. So okay. So there's advantage. Right. That's the point. Like the breadwinner, so to speak. Typically, the person that doesn't make as much as the other person wants to share the money because you don't make as much. You know what I mean? Like if someone makes X and you make 40% less than X, you're like, yeah, let's go 50-50.
But there's also that thing that we talked about the other night is like if I happen to be in a crunch and I can't do something, then it's like,
And
okay,
she'll
well,
put you out on the street.
right, then I'm screwed. I got to go to a Motel 6. But
Then she'll hook you up.
yeah, she'll help me out because she's like my wife now. So
She isn't just like, she like is.
legally my wife.
All right, let's get to it.
She's a Russell. She's Aaron.
she?
She's Aaron Russell.
Okay.
Okay.
I thought you were going somewhere with there, so I was giving you a moment.
No, nothing.
No, nothing came to mind.
further.
There's a blank space up there.
Yeah.
How would you describe the Padres season so far to this point?
I'm gonna whisper this so Shilty does
3, 2, 1.
roller coaster. Hope Shilty didn't hear that. He might take exception to it.
As his ears perked up a little bit.
He's
little
probably
bit.
listening on the
It's a trigger
iHeartRadio app
word.
in Kansas City.
It's a roller coaster. It's not a fun roller coaster yet. It's like you're going up and then a little dip, and then you're going up and then a bit dip, and then maybe a little bigger dip, and then you go up and then a little dip. It's like
that Dragon Kitty roller coaster you see at carnivals. It just kind of goes up a little bit, down a little
you haven't
bit.
hit the peak of the roller coaster where like the fun begins.
Remember the roller coaster we went to at Universal Studios? I think it was Harry Potter. It was like 26 seconds long.
Dude, I try to forget that because
I think it was so short.
well, not just that roller coaster, but the Transformers 3D ride that me, you, and I think Kristen and a couple other people went on.
Yeah, you almost like threw up, right?
I was white as a ghost. After
That was me
ride.
after the Simpsons ride. We went on way too many rides too quickly. There were no lines.
And we were just drinking
yeah, that too.
because they gave us alcohol because it was
Right.
a
It's
part
like
of like
Super Bowl party or
It
something.
was a Super Bowl party. And we didn't really eat anything.
Yeah.
And these rides are already like 3D. It was
so
just
much 3D.
Oh
Basically,
my
it's the
God.
Padres season.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's great. Other times you want to
Like that ride's fun over there. And then that ride sucks. And then that ride's short. And then that ride makes you want to throw up.
Yeah.
That's how the Padres season is. Yeah.
Next question.
Will the T-Wolves force a 6th game in the Western Conference Finals?
Should I jinx him again?
Yeah, do it.
It's over. OVER over. The Dallas Mavericks are going to win tonight. They're going to go to the NBA Finals. T-Wolves, it is donezo.
Funny that Vegas disagrees. Minnesota at home is a 5-point favorite tonight
Over,
against
John.
the Dallas Mavericks. And I will say this, if they force a 6th game, the pressure all of a sudden tilts back to Dallas. So I hope they force it because the first series is kind of boring. The Pacers Celtics series. Well, they came down to the end, but the Pacers just lost all the games.
Would you say that every sweep is considered boring?
No, because the Pacers actually they gave away game 1. They had a lead with 3 minutes to play in 2 of the other games. So I don't.
You can
it
get
just
swept
wasn't
and
good.
have close games.
Yeah, they were all close games. So 3 of them were close games. Right. So I hope this thing goes 7 games. Truthfully, I hope Minnesota wins it.
Over.
Double jinx.
Next question.
They announced today the Bears will be on the season of Hard Knocks. Does anybody care about Hard Knocks anymore?
Are you okay, Brent?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't. I
It's
don't
a cool
watch.
logo. They use the bean as like a football.
I
That's
like
pretty
the
cool.
logo, but it's one of those things. It's like, oh great, now our front office, dysfunction is on display for the whole world to see.
I think it could be intriguing. I mean, Caleb Williams, #1 overall pick. I think they have some really good, nice offensive weapons, and it could be intriguing. But Hard Knocks is always about like
this
the
third
last
tight end.
man on the team and like the guy that's fighting for a spot on the roster. You rarely just be like, all right, we're gonna pick out all the stars and put them in the light there.
But if there's a year to do it with a quarterback, I mean, Caleb Williams, his entrance into the NFL, I think, is a really good storyline.
And I don't think they've done a Hard Knocks with the number 1 overall pick.
Well, there you go.
involved
And here's the
either.
other thing. It is a good show. Now, they've done it a lot, but they've done a really good job with the show. You've seen a lot on it. I mean, you're not going to be overly surprised by the access you receive, but they do a very good job with the show overall. I'm interested. I'm definitely interested. Next question.
What game on the Aztec schedule are you most looking forward to?
I would say there's a couple here, but
No,
I will
no.
pick. I was gonna finish here. Let me see here. I will go with September 7th, Oregon State, 7:30 kickoff time at Snapdragon Stadium.
I like that.
Game 2 of the season, because we don't really know what this team's going to be like this year. And so that, I think, will be the first true test of this team to see if they're going to be better than last year, or like what we could see from this team going forward this season. So I'm going to pick the first game where we're going to get some of those answers maybe answered, and that's Oregon State, September 7th.
I like that. Since you went there, and I probably would have gone there, I'll give you the road game in Boise. There are people that believe Boise could be the best team in the group of 5 this year. They've got the former SC 5-star quarterback, Malachi Nelson.
Yeah.
I think over there. It's a Friday night game on the blue, so to speak, at 5 p.m. Nobody's had more success as a road team over the years in Boise than San Diego State. They have multiple wins there, I think twice against top 25 ranked Boise State teams. It's just intriguing. I mean, Boise on a Friday night, on the road, in the Mountain West Conference, 2 of the preeminent programs in the league. So I'll say that Friday, November 1st game, San Diego State at Boise State, 5 o'clock Pacific. Let's get it on. Bring it on, Jim.
Bring it on, John.
I want to play San Diego State in the EA Sports College Football video game at Boise on the blue turf and win like 68-0.
That will happen.
That'd be fun, right?
I hate the blue turf.
Exactly.
Because you can't see. Their uniforms camouflage them.
I know.
Man, I really hope this game is good, and it's going to make me like have the itch to just buy a PS5 and then buy it. I'm like, oh man.
Be a man. Do it.
Do it.
Do
Be,
it.
be
Be
a
a
man. I mean, if Brent comes in here and is like, dude, this game is the best.
I
Like,
probably won't even come in here. I'll probably just
take a day.
be
game.
like,
Like, oh, I'm a little sick. I got to stay home.
got a horse in my throat.
I got to complete this tough schedule.
Peanut
And
sick. I gotta stay home and
I'm trying
keep
to win.
an eye on her.
Trying to win back-to-back national championships.
I like it. All right. On the other side, who wants 2 free tickets to see Janet Jackson and Nelly at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater a week from tonight? Call right now. First 2 callers will be contestants for trivia. The number for these Janet Jackson and Nelly tickets, you need to call right now, 877-767-4760. Again, 877-767-4760. Call right now. We're playing for 2 free tickets for next Thursday night. Janet Jackson and Nelly, North Island Credit Union Amphitheater, 877-767-4760. Trivia is next on Jon and Jim. All right, so imagine waking up this time next week and being completely debt-free, no credit cards, no car loan, no personal loans. Hey, guys, it's Schaefer. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit can make it happen. Homeowners are turning their home equity into cash almost instantly with Loan Pronto's AI-based system, and you can get approval in about 10 minutes with almost no documentation, no appraisal, and no hassle. You can get hundreds of thousands of dollars out of your home, and you can use that money to pay off all your other loans. The average homeowner saving over $850 a month doing this. Crazy money. Listen, your home value's way up. You can use that to wipe out all those credit cards, maybe use the money for home improvement. Literally hundreds of thousands at your fingertips. Approval minutes away. Here's the number to call. You can call right now, 619-207-4336, 619-207-4336, or loanpronto.com. Again, 207-4336, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, equal housing lender. Jim, back with you here until 6 p.m. By the way, we'll give away these tickets coming up during Trainwreck Radio to Janet Jackson and Nelly. We do have San Diego Strike Force tickets to give away, and we'll do that in the 5 o'clock hour. So Strike Force, Arizona Rattlers, June 8th, my birthday. Chicago Arena. You could get me tickets to see that, Jim.
No.
You should get me something.
I did get you something.
What? As the officiant?
I gave you a really nice watch with your engraving, with your name engraved
No,
on it.
that's for officiating. That's like when someone.
I gave you
Okay.
Blender sunglasses.
If my birthday was December 24th,
nice notebook.
if my birthday is December 24th, I don't want Christmas gifts from you. I want my birthday and I want Christmas gifts.
Wow, it's a good thing you're not a Christmas baby.
Yeah,
Like, it's not fair when you get wrapped up all into one.
It's not. It's
That's what happens, John.
It's
So deal with
SOL.
it. Yeah, you are SOL. It did
All
get
right.
wrapped up into one. You're welcome.
That's fine.
Just whatever.
Okay. Thanks for the watch.
You're
Let's
welcome.
get to it.
Glad you're wearing it.
I'm never going to wear that thing.
All right, 3 questions, 2 contestants, 1 lifeline. Today's 2 contestants, we have Mark and we have Kenneth. Mark, you called in first, so you have your choice of John or Jim. Who do you want to go with?
I'll take Jim.
All right, Mark, you get me.
It's like a Jim week.
It is because it's I just got married. Kenneth, you get John. Okay, you go with that.
Yep.
All right, cool.
Yep.
All righty.
Wait, who do I have?
You have Kenneth.
Okay.
Way to listen.
What's up, Kenneth?
Brent, what's the question of the day?
All right, we talked about Game 6 tonight between the Timberwolves and the Mavs. Or Game 5, I mean, is tonight.
Jinx.
It's a triple jinx now, so that means they're going to win. Today's question: can you name anybody in the top 10 scorers for Timberwolves history? So we're looking for top 10 scorers in Minnesota Timberwolves history.
Like total points scored, right?
Yes,
Okay.
total points, not points per game, just total points.
What a history it's been.
Big history.
There's some big names on the list.
Okay.
Okay. So Kenneth, you are up first. What's your first guess? You do have a lifeline if you want to use it.
I'll go with Cat.
Big
Carl
Cat.
Anthony Towns.
Well done.
On the list.
All those shots he's taking every day. 1,500
1,500
shots per
shots.
Yeah, that paid off.
Yeah. Mark, what's your first guess? You have a lifeline if you choose to use it.
Kevin Garnett.
KG.
day. No way. Oh, he is. He snuck in.
Wow, he made the list.
He's obviously their all-time leading scorer,
Yes.
right? It's not
Yes.
close.
Yeah. Kenneth, you're up next. What's your second guess? You do have a lifeline if you choose to use it.
I'll go with Ant.
Anthony Edwards is
Anthony
early,
Edwards
man. Is
already?
he on the list? He's
We're
on the list.
Number 6.
Wow.
All right. Mark, back to you. What's your second guess? You do have a lifeline if you choose to use it.
Jim, I know no current NBA players, so I need a lifeline.
You
here.
know
I'm trying
LeBron
to think back.
James.
You know LeBron James and Steph Curry.
Say LeBron. Be a man.
No, don't say LeBron.
I will not say LeBron, but I'm going to need Jim's help, and then I'm going to try to reach back into my memory here for the old school Timberwolves.
Jim used to be a T-Wolves fan, like Kings.
No. I have a name in my head, but I don't think it is. But I got nothing else.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Ugh.
This is gonna be so stupid if he gets this wrong. I my guess is Wally Zerbiak.
Oh, that's got to be a good one. Come on. Yeah, I agree with you there.
Wow.
Yeah, how's that done?
I got it.
Yeah.
Where's he on the list?
7th.
Let's go. Yeah.
Wow.
All right, Kenneth.
Dude, that was a good guess.
All right, Kenneth.
Okay.
What is your third and final guess? You do have your lifeline, which is John, and he's
I'm
freaking out right
thinking.
now. He's thinking
I'm
hard.
thinking.
So what are you gonna do, man?
That was a good pull. Number 1 pick, Andrew Wiggins.
Andrew Wiggins is on that list. Well done.
Wow, what
Wow.
a pull. What a freaking pull. That means, Mark, you don't get my help here, unfortunately, and this is all up to you. So you need this to go to overtime. What do you got?
LeBron?
Stop it.
I'm gonna throw this one out there, and I'm probably wrong, but it's the last Timberwolf Wolf I think I have on my mind. J.R. Ryder.
J.R. Ryder for the time. No. Good guess.
Good guess.
That's a good
Isaiah
guess.
Ryder isn't on the list either. Because
Good
remember,
guess.
he
Good
changed his
guess.
Easy
name.
Ryder,
Good
yeah.
guess. All right, Kenneth, you are the winner.
All right, Kenneth. Kenneth knows his T-Wolves.
Was Sam Cassell on this list?
No,
Did he even play for the T-Wolves?
he did for like a minute.
Christian Leitner on this list?
Yes, he's 10th.
Boom!
What?
How about
I
that?
was gonna say Kevin Love.
He's
Oh,
also on the
Kevin
list.
Love!
He's number 5.
We're idiots.
We are such idiots.
Oh man, we are such idiots. That's a great guess.
Who's on this list?
All right, obviously KG's number 1 with over 1,900 points. Then it's
So
Cat.
19,000 points.
19,000. my bad.
1900.
Yeah.
Hey, it's
Team
Minnesota.
sucks.
It could be. So KG's 1, Cat is 2, then Wiggins is 3rd, Sam Mitchell. He's old
Sam
school.
Mitchell,
Yeah, it's a
yeah.
good
He's
name.
4. Kevin Love is 5. Ant-Man is 6. Zerbiak is 7. Doug West is 8. Tony Campbell is 9. And then
Campbell.
Christian Laettner is 10. I remember Tony Campbell.
The soup guy.
I don't remember.
He was like one of their first overall
Campbell
draft
chunky
picks.
Campbell's chunky noodle soup.
Who knows? All right, Kenneth, congratulations. You have won 2 free tickets to see Janet Jackson with Nelly. This is coming up a week from tonight at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater, June 6th. Tickets and info at Ticketmaster.com. If you didn't win today, more chances to win those tickets tomorrow right here on Jon and Jim. Programming announcement for tomorrow. Kevin Acey will join the show ahead of Padres and Royals.
Also, programming announcement. Never mind.
Exactly. That's exactly right. That's a good job not doing something you're not supposed to do in radio.
Yes.
San Diego Strike Force tickets will give away next hour. So we'll do that coming up. Back to the Padres getting set for a series in Kansas City against the Royals. We look back to yesterday against Miami. We look ahead to a 6-game road trip. Plus, we'll give away those Strike Force tickets. Plus, at 5:30, the music track you didn't know you needed to hear, you will hear. Okay?
Dude, this thing is.
You didn't know you needed to hear it, but you're going to hear it at 5:30. Hour 3, Jon and Jim comes your way next.
Remember, I'm on This update is brought to you by Indeed.com. Padres, they have an off day today. They're back in action tomorrow night versus the Kansas City Royals. 5:10 first pitch. Michael Wacha, old friend, will be on the mound for the Royals against Dylan Cease for the Padres. Game 5 between the Timberwolves and the Mavericks. Tip-off time a half hour from now in Minnesota. Minnesota is trying to force a game 6. Dallas is trying to punch their ticket to the NBA Finals, where they would face the Boston Celtics starting on June 6th. And the Aztecs today released their TV schedule for the upcoming football season. Their opener will be versus Texas A&M Commerce, August 31st at Snapdragon Stadium. The time on that game is to be determined. Need to hire? You need Indeed. Their all-in-one platform helps you attract, interview, and hire candidates all from one place. And Indeed's interview tool lets you schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from their website. Visit Indeed.com/credit today.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? This is the final hour of Jon and Jim. Not ever, but for today.
It's over.
Darren Waller, what are you doing? If you know, you know. We'll explain at 5:30.
It's like no one asked for this.
No one asked for it, man.
And you're giving it to people, and you are just setting yourself up to be, I mean.
Nobody asked for it.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you a question on air that I didn't tell you I was going to ask. So hopefully you're prepared for what I'm about to ask, because I have no clue. I'm going to ask you about something in sports that I have no clue about.
Sports.
And then we'll get back to the Padres and the Marlins. Actually, NFL related. So the NFL is going to have like its most seismic rule change ever. Or in like 50 years this year. It has to do with the kickoff. You've seen this?
No.
Oh, okay, great.
Yes.
Brent, the kickoff is changing entirely. It's going to look completely
So the stupid XFL
different.
kickoff.
Oh, yeah. I know about that.
Where they can't move until like the return man catches the ball.
What is this, a safety thing or an entertainment thing?
Yes, it's I'm doing air quotes. It's a safety thing because the NFL is so concerned about player safety.
So what are we doing? Is it because the kickoff's so boring and they just kick it through the back of the end zone 99% of the time?
Yes.
And they want some action?
Because remember, they blamed all those concussions on kickoffs being so dangerous. So that's why they moved the line up so that they would return less kicks. But now it's like you said, every kick just goes back into the back of the end zone. So it's kind of pointless.
So what are we doing?
Creating more excitement.
No,
in the
but
game.
what are they
We're
doing?
trying. What do you mean, what are they doing?
Like, what are they actually doing? The little people on the field?
Oh,
like how are they moving? Because it looks odd, right?
Well, they can't.
They can't move.
When they kick the ball, they can't move until the return man catches the ball.
And you can't.
And then I think they can't move until he advances it. So if he catches it, he sits there.
And if you kick it out of the end zone, then the team receiving gets an advantage.
But did we ask for this? Like
No,
the fans?
No, nobody asked for it.
So just because? I mean,
Yes.
they moved the extra point back. Okay, everyone makes the extra point.
Right. Well,
Okay.
not
I
everybody.
mean, back in the day.
Yeah,
when
back
it was
in
from
the day,
the 2,
it was
you
way
made 99%.
super easy.
And now it's, you're right. It's now 90%.
Now
not
it's
99.
a little kind of tricky.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So, okay, that's an entertainment value.
Right.
The kickoffs go through the back of the end zone. They're basically for commercials. Hey, kickoff commercial. Back to the action.
Yeah.
So now it's given us something that has a little bit of excitement.
They're trying.
They're trying that.
Because if the kickoff team kicks it out of the end zone, then the receiving team gets an advantage. I think they get like an extra 15 yards.
It's confusing, man.
And
We
if
got the
you-
alignment and the kicking zone and
if
the
you
landing zone.
Yeah, and if you like fair catch it, then you get it at like the 25. If it goes out of the end
Look
zone,
at
it's like
this.
the 35.
How long this rule is?
Yeah, it's a lot.
Nobody asked for this.
Dude, I feel sorry for like the NFL announcers that are going to have to explain this crap for like 3
Oh, I
weeks
know.
until everyone gets it
We're
down.
not doing this in college football, are they? Because I'm
No,
calling these
no.
games.
No,
Thank
no,
the
no, no.
Lord.
No,
I'm
they're
gonna be like,
not.
here is the moment you've been waiting for. People
Right.
standing in a weird alignment to do something. I'm not sure what they're doing.
That's one of the good things about college football. They kind of just do their own thing. They don't go, oh, well, they do this in the NFL, so that means we have to do it. It's like, no, we're going to do our own overtime rules, and they can do whatever they want.
Good luck, Tom Brady.
Why? Oh, because he's calling the game.
He's calling
Yeah.
games.
Because you have to explain to everybody.
Right.
Yeah, he's a color guy. He could just make the main announcer do it.
Yeah, it's more of a play-by-play guy's job. I was just curious
Kevin
because
Burkhardt.
I'm seeing people talk about it, and then I saw a video clip of it from XFL or USFL or whatever, and I was like, "Whoa! I didn't know we were doing this." Like, I'm
Yeah,
all for
it's-
moving it 5 yards or some additional incentive to
Well,
return the ball, but this seems like a little drastic.
It's not like as dumb as like some of the other XFL things. Like remember they said the coin toss, they just threw the ball in the middle of the field and made the guys like sprint and like collide into each other to get the ball. You know, it's not as dumb as that, but yeah, it's like John said, who really asked for this? It was like, yes, this is what's going to make the game more exciting.
Well, we'll see.
We'll see. All right, stay tuned. Week 1 in Brazil or wherever. Thursday Night Football, then the Sao Paulo game between the Packers and the Eagles. All right, Padres off today. Back in action tomorrow at 5:10. Kevin Acey will be on the show. By the way, we've kind of buried a lead, which is Xander Bogaerts, quote unquote, got good news. Doesn't need surgery, which was the first opinion. The second opinion has confirmed it. And the timeline remains the same, 2 to 3 months for Xander Bogaerts.
You know what's weird about the Xander Bogaerts injury is exactly what just happened with you right there. We forgot about it. It's not something at the front of our minds. It's not something that we're like, oh man, this is going to really hurt this team. Like, they lost Xander. Oh my gosh. And that's kind of, like tells the story of how not really impactful Xander has been to this team.
Does it also tell the story of Arise plays second, Cronenworth plays second? They've backfilled
Donovan Solano.
They didn't just call up like a 21-year-old.
Right.
Like, yeah, the veterans, not Peralta for that position, but like the veterans they have, Peralta, Solano, now they have Arise. Cronenworth can go back to second. He has. Like, they got some options, position player-wise. You're right. I mean, I still say, and I know you agree with this, like to reach the ceiling, you need Bogaerts to play well. So therefore you need Bogaerts. But in his absence, he wasn't playing well. So I think you can continue on the path you were going down without Xander Bogaerts. Can you take off without Xander Bogaerts? Maybe. He wasn't doing anything.
Again, the fact that we're sitting here and it's not like the first thing we're talking about, and it's the first thing that we're updating people on is the health of Xander, and he doesn't need surgery. And all this stuff kind of tells you how his season and how his tenure so far as a Padre has gone.
Right.
Back in 2022, the underlying story of everything that year was wait until Tatis gets back because of how impactful he was, in 2021. And it's like, okay, this is going to put that team over the hump. We all know the story. Didn't return, but they still made the NLCS. We kind of sit there and say maybe it could have gone farther if Tatis was on the team, and we'll never know. I don't feel like that at all with Xander. I'm sorry, I just don't. I'm not sitting here trying to count down the days till Xander returns. If and when he returns, yeah, it will be a boost. But I don't feel like it's this like missing piece that the Padres are waiting for.
It's funny you say it because remember earlier I'm like, with Manny, you equate wins and losses like a quarterback. Fair, unfair. Yeah. Quarterbacks get wins and losses. They make a lot of money. Left tackles don't. And we told you Manny as a Padre is 7 games over 500 in 6 years, about 1 game over 500 per year on average. But Bogaerts, whether this is fair or not, is fine. His first full year in the big leagues with Boston, 71 wins. His next year, 78 wins. Then 93, 108, 84, 92.
No, he's a winner. He's been
now, I'm
on
not saying it's all
teams.
him, but there's those 6-7 years, man. You're falling out of bed at 90 wins.
Yeah, he's been part of 90 win teams, 2 World Series championship teams, and been big parts of those World Series championship teams. But that's
in the past. I'm with you. I hope not.
With the Padres, it's been a massive disappointment. Regardless of the end numbers he had last year, because he had a insane September.
Yeah, he did.
It's been a disappointment, and frankly, I really don't think fans are sitting here being like, well, if this team had Xander, they'd be much, like I don't see that. And that's
this team
story.
had good Xander?
Well,
what if this team had 2020? Like,
that's
when
different.
was his last really good year? I'm assuming the year they signed him. He was coming off a year he hit 307 with an 833 OPS.
Well, yeah, if this team also had the 2022 version of Manny Machado.
But that's what I'm saying. But this isn't that far in the rearview mirror. He's not 39. He's 31. Same thing with Manny Machado. He's not 39. He's 31 years of age.
And same thing with Fernando Tatis Jr.
25.
It's only 3 years ago. He was a top 3 MVP
now,
candidate.
3 years, you push the additional year, like 2021.
But he's also 25.
He's also had a shoulder surgery multiple times and a wrist surgery one time, or was it?
No, it was
2 wrists,
2 wrists, one
shoulder.
shoulder.
In the same 18-month period between games.
I'm just saying that you talking about Xander and giving the update today, which was in Kevin's article this morning about no surgery needed and everything. I'm sorry, he's been impactful to this team.
Worried about it. That's fair.
Like if he returns, he returns. If he doesn't return, he doesn't return. I'm not gonna be like, oh my gosh, guys, if you say he misses the rest of the year, okay?
Yep.
And say they don't make the postseason, I'm not gonna be sitting here and saying they would have made it if they had Xander.
So you're saying it's the same ceiling either way?
With how he has performed this year, yes. If he went on the aisle and broke a shoulder and he was hitting 315,
Right. If he was Profar,
and he was Profar,
you'd be like, whoa.
like, okay, that's
a
problem.
loss.
But he's been one of the worst players
Position
on the
players, yeah.
team.
Okay.
Like offensively. So
No, I agree with you.
That's where
I
that's where I
don't
stand.
disagree.
It's right now. It's a $280 million mistake until it's proven otherwise.
Brian, what do you got?
I was gonna say, if I'm Manny or Tatis, I would want him to come back because when he was here, nobody was talking about them hitting 240. They're all talking about Bogaerts doing it. You know, it's like I've used the analogy the last couple of weeks of it'd be like if I came home and gave my parents a report card of like all Fs, but my sister got a DUI that same day to where they're not going to be so concerned about my Fs now because all the focus is over here. When Manny and Tatis weren't hitting, all the focus was all over on Xander, and everyone's like, "Oh, why isn't X hitting? Why isn't X hitting?" Then he gets put on the IL, and now everyone's like, "Hey, look, Manny's not hitting either."
Well, that's where we were eventually going. I remember even talking about it because we talked about a lot about Xander because Xander was struggling mightily, and it was like, man, Manny's getting off the hook here a little bit because Manny's doing pretty much the same as Xander, and all we're doing is talking about Xander. Yet Manny has not produced at all.
Well, it's if you go down that path, and I'm happy to go down the path. What about Ha-Seong Kim? What about Joe Musgrove? Now, Musgrove has pitched well his last 2 times out, and that's really encouraging, and I hope it continues. So there's signs of life there with Musgrove. I don't know about Ha-Seong Kim. He's hit 200 basically all year long. Now, I get it. Not Manny. I understand. Well, he is now. He was your leadoff hitter for half a year this season ago because he kind of earned it.
Yeah,
based on his play.
Not anytime this year. I think we won this year.
But so he's just an afterthought. This guy was one of the best players in the Padres.
He's not an afterthought, but he's also not a guy that I would talk about first when talking about their struggles.
Well, I agree with that. I mean, again, I'm with you. But the truth is, it's 26-man roster. It's a 9-man lineup. Luis Campusano, his last hit was the same time I had a hit. It was a long time ago.
What?
Like, go look at his game logs.
It's been a long time.
He has fallen off a cliff offensively. Ha-Seong Kim, well, he's been on the cliff all year. He's just hit 200 all year, and I get it. They're not Manny and they're not Toddy. They're not asked to be those players. But my point, I guess, is this: that Manny and Toddy maybe turn it around. You're still going to need your catcher to hit. You're still going to need your shortstop to hit. And the fact that they are 30 and 29, maybe it is actually encouraging because how are they there with the Manny, Toddy, Kimmy, Campy, probably missing guys? Struggles. This year.
Well, let's see here. No, Merrill's not struggled.
No, he's been
Merrill's
fine.
done really
He's
good
been
this year, actually.
Yep.
Yeah, when this team succeeds this year, it's because of the others, most of the time, majority of the time. And when this team does not succeed and when they fail, you put the blame on the big names of the team.
Which is reasonable. Yep.
Because, we're not seeing them lose 9-4 and those games, Manny goes 4 for 4 with 2 home runs. Majority of the time when they lose 9-4, Manny's going 0 for 3 or 0 for 4 or 1 for 4 with a single.
So these aren't the 2021 Angels.
Right.
Trout and Ohtani combined for 3 home runs and 6-3 loss.
Right. 2 MVP candidates on a really crappy team.
Yeah, like putting up. That's an interesting point. Because then it would be hard. It would be hard. I mean, if Manny was hitting 330 right now with 16 home runs and Toddy was hitting 309 with 14 home runs, how could you be critical of what they're doing?
You couldn't be.
Even if the team wasn't winning.
It would be everybody else.
Yep.
And it would be like
this pitching staff.
The pitching staff or the bullpen, even though the back end of the bullpen now is become very, very dominant.
Yep.
But yeah, it's they're not doing that. They're not even close to doing that. They're not helping the team. They're hurting the team more than they're helping it. Is where we're at. And Kevin's tidbits today
Oh,
in his
Kevin's tidbits.
Yeah. So it's interesting, comparing last year's team to this year's team. And they're kind of in the same position. They were worse off last year at this time. But the team this year is a little better. They're not a lot better. They're just a little better
Than last year?
27
and 32, right?
Yep. And this year they're 30 and 29.
Yeah, it's three games of improvement is actually a good amount, right?
Yeah.
At this point.
And you look at this team this year in 1-run games, they're 6-6, 2-0 in extra innings, which last year's team
amazing
was 0-11 up until the last series of the season. They're hitting 254 with runners in scoring position. They're hitting 255 overall. Last year's team was abysmal, hitting 196 with runners in scoring position at the same time and hitting 221 overall at the same time.
Okay.
And the record's a little better. They're 3 games better?
3 games.
3 games better than last year.
Which is actually a lot of games over just over a third of a season. You know what I mean? That's pacing for 8 games of improvement. 8 games is a lot of games. 8 games of improvement is what they're pacing for based on that at this point. That's like 89, 90 wins.
Yep.
But they're not really. It's hard, but they're 30 and 29. But 3 games better than where they were last year at this point.
And if they're 3 games better than they were last year, that's 85 wins.
By the way, in his tidbits on cue, Campy's 3 for his last 35.
Okay.
So again, these are things that don't get talked about, which is fine.
Don't ask Shilty
about
his struggles because he will take exception to that. I would guarantee you, John, if you asked Shilty or if someone in the media that goes down there every day,
what's wrong with Campy?
Asked Shilty exactly
I take exception with this roller coaster.
Yeah, what if I was like, Campy's falling off a cliff at the plate. He's 3 for his last 35.
What's going on with Luis Campusano?
Oh, and by the way, your backup over that stretch is 0 for 14, which means your catchers are 3 for their last 49. Is that? Here's a take. You talk about, we had Scott Miller on earlier. I'm like, what would you address? He's like, pitching. I buy it. Every team needs pitching.
Catching.
Hey, Ethan, I'm kidding about Salas, but hey, catching. Is this good enough?
There was an interesting thing that, speaking of catching, that our old pal Eric Hosmer put out on social media.
Does he want to catch?
And I think it had to do with either Friday night's game versus the Yankees, or when did Darvish pitch? Friday night versus the Yankees?
Yeah, when he got shelled.
Yeah, during my rehearsal, and I briefly saw it.
That was your fault.
My fault. Sorry. But he put out there that maybe Campy's kind of tipping the pitches with location. Like he's setting up too early, and the batters are catching it, and it's
just with Darvish,
just with everybody.
Oh, that's a hot take.
Let me find this tweet.
That's interesting.
Yeah, because
so he's both 3 for his last 35 and tipping the pitcher's pitches.
Did we tell the break Cosmer unfollow or not unfollowed me, but unblocked me on Twitter?
Not just you. Everyone.
No,
he blocks no one anymore.
He unblocked me.
No, he didn't.
As your wedding gift.
I follow him now.
He unblocked everyone.
True, but let me pull this.
He has a
up.
podcast to promote now. He's not going to block anyone.
Yeah. Hey, I kind of like his social media.
Do you? I don't follow him.
I kind of do.
You follow him?
I do follow him.
Come on, man.
Sorry.
How many people do you follow?
Like 500?
500
or so?
657.
Okay, close. I'm trying to find it because here we go. So it was the Juan Soto, Aaron Judge, and Giancarlo Stanton all go deep for the Yankees in the 3rd inning off Yu Darvish. He tweeted, Eric Hosmer, something to look at for Campy and the Padres. A lot of teams pick up on catchers as well by setting up too early. Soto homer sets up early with an early target, high and inside. Stanton homer, he sets up middle with a wide base to block the breaking ball. Labor's homer set up early inside with an early target. You isn't throwing breaking ball inside to a right. Those swings were way too comfortable last night against the guy with 9 inches.
All right, Skip. You know, okay. I mean, maybe it's easy to say that after they hit, or maybe Judge and Soto are capable home run hitters.
Hey, I mean, our texter that doesn't want to listen to anybody that didn't play the game, or what? Who is this? 858 number.
True. Then he should listen to the Eric Hosmer show.
I mean, hey, I just read off something from an actual major league player.
True, because I don't want your opinion. I
don't want my opinion. Screw my opinion.
Well, that's okay. That is interesting. I would go down that path, and it goes back to the point of, is Luis Campusano, who's like never caught more than 30 games in a season, your guy.
Well, we had that conversation. Like, he did well, Campy, for the first month and a half ish,
You're saying this year?
And when you look at his game logs and you look at his baseball card or you look at the baseball reference page, dude's played no more than like 35 games in a full season.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big ass to go from 35 games to like 115 games. It just is, especially when you're a catcher.
Yeah. So again, I'm all with you. Listen, I think if Manny was hitting 330 right now, like I just said, or Toddy was hitting 319 and they're both hitting for power, listen, they'll have a couple more wins and all of a sudden that looks a lot different.
But
Even with Campy and Kimmy struggling.
Would you feel better or worse? Like I said, it's probably kind of a good, it's like a testament to this team that they're 30-29 with those two guys being really bad this year.
Oh, would you rather be 30-29 with them not hitting or 30-29 with them hitting?
Yeah.
I'll take the latter. I want them to produce because I think them producing over 162, you'll get in a roll. There's no guarantee now that they will produce, even though you are 30-29. If they were having the Trout Ohtani first 2 months of 2020, or name the year, 2019, 2021, I'm more inclined to go with that. These guys are going to hit all year.
Yeah, that's right.
And at some point, you're going to get going because this pitching is a lot better than the Angels have ever thrown out.
This team is way better.
Way better than those teams. So, listen, do I still have faith in Manny Machado, honestly? Yeah, I do. I'd be lying if I said, no, there's no hope that this year is just going to be this all year.
It's not an easy watch, man.
There's not.
There's really no confidence there. I don't feel like when they go to the plate, they're going to come through.
Right.
And that's not great. Like, they have a track record, but I'm looking at just this year.
Mm-hmm.
And this year, if their track record this season is them not coming through and failing more than they're succeeding.
Oh, yeah.
So that's great. Overall career numbers, awesome. Clutch, okay. This year, though, that's not the case.
Back of the baseball card. Let's talk at the end of the year.
Well, the back of the baseball card this year, John, is crap.
It is this year.
Yeah, this year.
All right, caller 5, you've got 2 free tickets to June 8th, San Diego Strike Force against Arizona Rattlers game. This one at Pechanga Arena, a game you don't want to miss. San Diego Strike Force, Arizona Rattlers, June 8th. Caller 5, those are your tickets. 877-767-4760. You need to call right now if you want them. Free tickets, 2 free tickets to see the Strike Force and the Rattlers June 8th at Pechanga. 877-767-4760. The rap you didn't know you needed to hear, and you might not. Darren Waller, what are you doing? You'll hear it on the other side, plus Jim's back page. We're with you until 6 p.m. on Jon and Jim. Darren Waller with the brand new rap song that you're going to hear next.
This update is brought to you by Indeed.com. Padres start a road trip tomorrow in Kansas City versus the Royals. Michael Wacha, old friend, will be on the mound for the Royals against Dylan Cease for the Padres. 5:10 first pitch tomorrow in Kansas City. NBA action happening later tonight, moments away actually from tip-off time in Minnesota. Game 5 between the Timberwolves and the Mavericks. Mavericks are looking to end this series and head to the NBA Finals versus the Boston Celtics, while the Timberwolves are trying to force a Game 6. And the Aztecs today released their football schedule, TV schedule. Their first game of the year, August 31st versus Texas A&M Commerce. The time on that game will be to be announced. Need to hire, need Indeed. Their all-in-one platform helps you attract, interview, and hire candidates all from one place. And Indeed's interview tools let you schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from their website. Visit Indeed.com/credit today.
So, among things I didn't realize is that Darren Waller was married to Kelsey Plum. He played at La Jolla Country Day, right? Best women's basketball players in the world. Yeah, she's really good, right? What's the best scorer in the history of college basketball before Caitlin Clark?
Yeah, she's on the Las Vegas Aces.
They've won multiple championships in the WNBA.
Yep.
So they were married, but then got divorced
Recently,
and Darren Waller wrote a song about this?
I don't know. Again, we said who asked for this,
right?
But I don't know why he put this out there, because he's just going to get made fun of like nonstop, and he already is getting made fun of for it. I mean, when you hear this song, and it's even better to watch the video.
Mm-hmm.
The video is it's amazing. Like, he has a Kelsey Plum lookalike in the video that he's like talking to, or like, singing to. And then at the very end of the video, she like stabs him in the back with a knife, and he falls down on a beach and like dies and gets like drowned by water. It's like, whoa, dude.
He's got a little too much time, maybe.
A little too much time.
Is he still with the Giants?
Yes. He had a horrible year last year. He's been
maybe a little
really
more
bad.
mini camp and a little less.
Right.
rap ballads
but
with auto tunes.
T-Pain would be very proud of the auto tune that Darren Waller uses here. Brent, just to make sure before you play this, you did preview this. Okay, cool. Because there's a couple,
unfortunately,
a couple curse words in there. No one asked for this, but here's Darren Waller with his love song breakup video to Kelsey Plum, I guess.
He sounds like when you're a kid and you'd sing in front of the fan.
If you take your time, you feel the wave fall off. What your plans are, go ahead and call off. Tired of your day job. We can go down that dirt road like some kids, we can go play. Laughing your face off. Yeah. Slide right down that highway, we can take off. Why you wanna run away? Why can't you just stay?
Oh my God.
Take your time.
Have you heard enough yet?
What if I said yes, but what if I said it's kind of catchy?
Kinda
I don't
slaps.
hate it.
Of course you like it.
Do you remember? So I want to say maybe I was in high school when this happened, when Kobe came out with his rap, like Kobe. You remember that song?
What? No.
Brent, who knows everything?
No.
If you Google Kobe, Kobe definitely had a rap song.
But this is like
people have multiple interests, is my point. He could do more than just football.
Yeah, but
or you say shut up and dribble.
No. I'm not saying shut up and catch a football, even though it's been very hard for him to catch a football the last couple of years. I'm just saying, like, what are you thinking in this moment?
What good is going to come of this?
Like, you had to first off spend a decent amount of money. You had to record.
Right.
You had to like.
It's about your ex-wife. That's
about
not
your ex-wife.
Overly nice.
I mean, I don't get it, but I mean,
to each their own.
To each their own.
You're
I guess.
okay with it, but you don't get it. That's how I feel.
Like, it doesn't really slap. It's just
slap is good.
Like, you're like, that's a good song.
I gotcha.
But
no, it's okay. I've heard worse.
I think he needs a little more auto-tune.
You want more auto-tune? Please, no.
More
it's the last thing he needs.
It's like more cowbell, more auto-tune. More auto-tune.
That's the last thing he needs. You know, I learned something interesting that just like nobody needed this Darren Waller thing, nobody needs what I'm about to say, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Are you just pivoting hard here?
No, I'm not. T-Pain, who's known as like the auto-tune guy,
yes,
right?
Yeah.
Has an amazing voice.
I know.
That's what makes it, to me, very ironic.
When I was, I think, around 20-ish or so, like, T-Pain's songs were huge.
Hits, absolutely.
And they had an app on the iPhone. It was an auto-tune app.
Yeah.
And you could, like, sing into it, and it would, like, auto-tune your voice to make you sound like T-Pain for one of his songs. I remember doing that, thinking I was, like, the coolest person ever. And it was just, it sounded like Darren Waller.
Well, that's pretty good. That's not terrible if you sounded like Darren Waller.
But Darren Waller doesn't sound good.
Okay. It wasn't great. Did you find what I was looking for, Brent? Not that I need to hear it.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
It was terrible, right?
Take your time for me.
That could be our new open theme.
What, Darren Waller song?
Yeah, exactly.
It's about getting stabbed in the back by your ex-wife.
Okay, maybe it's not our open theme.
No, it's not, because we're both happily married.
Yes.
Men now. So
absolutely.
We're not going to do songs about stabbing people in the back about our ex-wife. That's
no,
just like, what are you thinking, dude?
I don't know.
You're going to get to, you're a New York Giant. You're not like a Jacksonville Jaguar where this thing can go away in 2 seconds.
Yeah, but he probably won't be a Giant for long, because didn't they draft that Bowers kid?
No, Raiders drafted Bowers.
Oh, that's Raiders. That's right.
Yeah, he's on the Raiders
All
anymore.
right, enough Darren Waller. Game 5
You're
tonight
so over it.
Who cares? Game 5, and I kind of like it. Game 5 is about to get underway. Minnesota back home. They quasi got back into the series. I mean, you think about this. I go back to the Nuggets series.
Quasi got back in the series. They won a game.
2 of the last 3 would be at home.
Okay.
So, I mean, they only have to win 1 time on the road to win the series. That's not that crazy, is it?
So you're just because they took home court back.
No, they didn't take home court back yet.
No, not yet.
If they win game 5 and 6, they've taken home. But I'm saying, is it that hard to envision? They just have to win 1 time on the road to then be favored in game 7 against Dallas.
Well, look,
home.
I don't think the Mavericks are this like juggernaut team.
So who do you think wins tonight?
The
You
Mavericks.
said Dallas. I know. I think Minnesota wins tonight.
Like, there's a possibility. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
But
don't you see what I'm saying? Like they have 2 of the last 3 at home.
it only works though, John, if you win game 5 and 6.
That is well said. That is well said. They're not winning the series without winning game 5 and 6. They might
That's
not
a
win
gem
the series
fact if I've ever heard
if
one.
they don't win game 7. They might not win the series.
Right.
You know,
They have to
it's
win,
almost like they have to win all the games
yeah,
left.
they have
in
to
the
win
series.
game 7 to win the series, John.
That's exactly
Imagine
right.
that.
Well, they got to get to game 7 to win the series too.
That is true.
Well, okay, they put up a stat. There have been 405 all-time series in baseball, basketball, or the NHL that were 3-0. 405 all-time series that were 3-0. 5 of those 405 teams that were down 0-3 or 3-0 came back and won the series. None ever in the NBA. Seen it in baseball before, Red Sox, Yankees.
It's
seen in the NHL before.
It's so much harder in NBA.
I wonder why over like NHL.
NHL, hockey's very weird.
It is where it's limited scoring.
I feel like home ice. I don't know. I'm not the biggest hockey guy, so this might sound stupid, but I feel like home ice sometimes doesn't really like mean all that
as much. Okay, maybe, yeah.
You know,
does momentum mean more in basketball? I guess if you beat someone
no,
three straight times,
you know what matters the most in basketball?
Being good.
Who has the best players?
Yeah, I guess if you're up 3-0 to your point, what are the odds
like,
you're going to lose 4 straight?
I would argue, John, that more often than not, every team that wins the series in NBA, you could say that team that won had the better players.
More often than not, or every time?
Almost every time.
Almost every time.
I mean,
give me an example of a team that was like the supreme underdog. Like,
well, the Pistons
Lakers.
Yeah, Pistons Lakers is the team that comes to mind. But in recent memory, I mean, you could say the Warriors and the Raptors finals. If everything was equal and if everybody was healthy, that would have been the latest. If the Raptors still won that series with a healthy KD and a healthy Klay Thompson. But that's not the case, so you can't say that about that series. But other than that, I mean, mostly every team that wins series, they have the better players because that's what always happens in basketball. The players rise to the top, and that's the team with the best players win.
So those 5 series wins, 4 of them were in the NHL. Most recently in 2014 when the Kings beat the Sharks.
You okay?
You get choked up. You love that Sharks team.
Like, that Sharks team.
I'm getting verklempt. And then it only happened once in baseball.
Yankees, Red Sox?
Yep, 2004.
Is the only time?
That's the only time it's happened in baseball. The other 4 times are all in hockey. And like you said, never in the NBA.
I have a question for you.
16 teams have forced a game 6.
Gotcha.
You might get this. What does that 04 Yankees Red Sox series have in common with this Dallas Minnesota Western Conference Finals?
It was also 3-0.
No.
Yeah, it was.
No.
It was also, well, that one was at Yankees, so it was a road win.
Dallas and Minnesota also played that year in the NBA playoffs.
It was a road game 4 for the Red Sox, was it not? Or was it at home? Were they at Fenway?
This goes out of the
They might
box.
be at Fenway.
There's one person, okay, that was involved in both of those series. Who was it?
T-Wolves, Mavericks, and the Red Sox, Yankees?
Yep.
Oh, A-Rod.
There you go.
Yeah.
Because A-Rod is like a minority owner of the Timberwolves.
And he was a minority owner of the Yankees at the same time?
No.
Yeah, but that's interesting. That is interesting. But they haven't yet blown this. Well, he'd be on the other side if the T-Wolves come back and win.
Well, it's not looking great because Luka's already got 10 points in 2 minutes.
2 minutes and 55 seconds. All right, Dallas, the early lead over Minnesota.
I told you, it's over.
I don't think it's over. All right, on the other side, we've got Jim's back page. Don't go anywhere. All right, we have Jim's back page. It'll come your way next. It's gotten heated inside the Target Center. No one's ever said that before. I just wanted to. It's gotten heated inside the Target Center in Minneapolis.
Yeah.
Where the T-Wolves trail the Mavs early. Quarter one, game 5. What's the score? Luka Doncic. It's taking over.
Like 15 points.
Other team 2.
Timberwolves 10, I think.
Everyone makes it.
My Dallas Mavericks.
You love Dallas.
I don't really love Dallas. I just
Boston wins it either way, no matter what happens.
Yeah, I think
I don't
so.
know.
I think Dallas could give them a definitely good
series.
Good series for
Yeah.
sure. Because you got 2 superstars that can go off for 30 plus points each, and that in a finals game, that's huge. Yeah.
It's one of those things where Boston had what was it, like 4 games this year where they won by like 60 points, but then they also had like 4 games where they lost by like 50 points. So it depends, and whether it's Dallas or Minnesota, they're both better than anybody that they played in the East.
That's
I think
fair.
so.
Yeah,
Anyways,
probably true. All right, we'll keep you updated, and by keep you updated, we really won't. All right, let's get to this.
We will for the next 6 minutes.
Right. Let's get to it.
So I heard a rumor, John, that you used to work in minor league baseball.
I did for 15 seasons.
And while working in minor league baseball, I'm sure you came up with a lot of cool like specialty nights, like
tons.
Yeah. Well,
Lehigh Valley cheesesteaks, Lehigh Valley bacon.
Like
the team would go from the Iron Pigs to the cheesesteaks because they were Phillies affiliate.
No, what I meant is like dollar chip
of
night or
course.
whatever, right?
The best was we gave away a funeral.
I shouldn't be laughing at that.
I know, it's kind of ridiculous.
Oh
It's
my
really like heartfelt. The person we gave it to had like a terminal illness. It was really odd.
Because funerals are not
They're
cheap.
Not cheap.
expensive,
That's the
yeah.
thing.
They're
People go into
expensive.
debt because of them. Well, not the people that are dead.
You know the Akron Rubber Ducks, right?
Of course I do. I know the Akron Rubber Ducks.
The AA affiliate of the Cleveland Guardians. Yeah. Well, they have a really fun giveaway, or not giveaway, but a night tonight. All right. Gates have just opened.
Get down there.
First pitch, 6:35.
No, 6:35 Eastern, dude.
Stop. It's washed up.
Oh, that was yesterday.
It was washed up night, which means
Okay.
Budweiser Thirsty Thursday, $2 beers and sodas. And It is a bring your A game night. Bring your child's report card and receive a free game ticket for each A or O, which means I think outstanding, that they have earned. So if you bring your child's report card and your kid has an A, you get a free ticket.
Okay, those are good promotions. Can I give you one other amazing promotion from back in the day? And there's a zillion from the minor leagues, but I want to say Charleston, the River Dogs once did a no-show night. They tried to set an all-time professional baseball record of having 0 fans in attendance. They locked the gates until the game was official in the 5th inning. And people could not come into the game until the bottom of the 5th inning.
That's amazing.
Because they wanted to announce an attendance of 0 people. Minor league baseball, nobody does it better promotionally than minor league baseball.
I think Oakland tried that a couple of years.
Yeah, exactly.
This piece of, I guess, this driver's license went on auction, John, today at the Golden Auction Collectibles Marketplace.
Okay.
It's O.J. Simpson's Florida driver's license.
Weird.
The starting bid was...
That's like a quirky one.
$15. Right now, through 11 bids, it's only at $34.
I was gonna say, who wants that, man?
Yeah, it's his ID. What are you going to do with it?
Nothing.
Nobody wants
But, like, I think probably whoever put this up for auction was thinking they could get
like
some
thousands.
Well, dude, OJ's license, Florida license.
Right.
Well, it's one of those things where, when a celebrity, even one of OJ's status, I guess you could call it, they pass away, like, oh, look, here's OJ's toothbrush. You got to put it on eBay because once someone passes away, then, their value for memorabilia and stuff goes up. So it doesn't surprise me.
And finally, John, I honestly might go and get this tonight.
Okay.
Taco Bell has released a couple new menu items, limited time only, in partnership with Cheez-Its.
Okay.
Here's the items that they are releasing. Taco Bell and Cheez-Its announced that they have joined forces to officially introduce a pair of buzzy food phenomena. The Big Cheez-It Crunchwrap Supreme and the Big Cheez-It Tostada.
Mm-hmm.
Starting today.
Can I see? Is it
May 30th.
Yeah.
And everywhere else nationwide on June 6th. So these are exclusive order. You can get this exclusively through the Taco Bell's Rewards membership program. And then on June 6th, it's going to be released nationally to everybody.
On the way to the Nelly Janet Jackson concert.
Exactly. The Cheez-It Crunchwrap Supreme is exactly what you think. It's a regular Crunchwrap with a giant big Cheez-It cracker in the middle. The Cheez-It Tostada is exactly that. It's the Big Cheez-It Tostada featuring big Cheez-It crackers topped with layers of beef, diced tomatoes, lettuce, shredded cheese, and sour cream. You can get the Big Cheez-It box. The meal box includes the Big Cheez-It Crunchwrap Supreme, a beefy 5-layer burrito, a regular-sized nacho fry, and a medium fountain drink for $8.99.
It says here it's 16 times their normal size of a Cheez-It.
Whoa.
It's a massive Cheez-It. Look at this thing.
It's like the size of a Crunch Wrap. So
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, let me look at that thing. That's a Cheez-It Tostada.
I feel like they did this once already, or they did it like a test market.
They have partnered with Cheez-Its for something before.
Okay, because I feel like this is I'm getting deja vu from this.
It wasn't Taco Bell.
Who was it?
Either Pizza Hut or Domino's, and they did the like Cheez-It pizza, and it was like a big Cheez-It, and inside of it was like everything you put inside of a pizza, like the sauce, the cheese, and I think pepperoni, and then the outside was a big Cheez-It.
The more you know.
I'm pretty sure it had to do with like a pizza.
It was
place.
Pizza Hut.
Pizza Hut.
In 2019.
Yeah.
They did a stuffed crust Cheez-It pizza.
Yeah.
By the way, while you were away, this is on Brent's back page. They're now available. Star Wars Oreos cookies are here.
Excuse me?
And available in like dozens of combinations.
Excuse me?
Yeah,
with
they
red
have,
filling or blue filling.
Yeah, they have Sith and Jedi filling.
Yes.
But they have characters etched on the top of the
Darth
cookies.
Maul.
So like you could get a Mace Windu like face on the top of your Oreo.
Excuse me?
Darth Maul, Yoda.
I'm going to get
Rey.
so fat now that I don't have to worry about a wedding.
Kylo Ren.
I'm going to go to Taco Bell to get the Cheez-It Crunchwrap Supreme, and then I got to go to the store to buy these Oreos, dude.
Dude, Storm. Let me see if I.
At your wedding.
Boba Fett.
That is correct.
General Grievous. Darth Sidious.
There you go.
All available right now.
Dude, I need those.
I know. We'll go to Oreo.com/Star Wars or in stores June 10th. They're available now at Oreo.com/Star Wars.
Okay. So need word on.
All right. If you missed anything today, you can go to sportssd.com or the iHeartRadio app or iTunes or TuneIn Radio or Spotify. If you're listening to us on podcast, please leave a review as well. We appreciate that. We're on social at Jon and Jim. For Brent and Jim, I'm John. Keep it here at San Diego Sports 760. Bye-bye.